Listen, I'll never be stable.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. None
I've
of us are
been
stable.
unstable for decades. But I don't have to tell you boys that. Hello, everybody.
That's the rumor.
Great signal.
This is our... whose phone was that?
It wasn't mine. I know better.
Whose phone was that?
Mine.
Conrad?
Nope.
Mine's off. See?
Nope.
Right there. Wi-Fi off. Da, da, da.
So let's just listen to that.
Deja vu. Didn't we just say that?
We did just say that.
We just ran a best of show.
This is the In-Wheel Time program. We're about ready to take the air here in about 3.5 minutes, and we really appreciate you joining us this morning. Hello to George Skelton.
George.
John.
Good morning, George.
George has
In the crowd.
George started this whole thing with the Bernie Sanders and the knit gloves, and I've been kind of egging him on this week because somehow, some way, I've gotten caught up in all these different photoshopped images of Bernie sitting up there.
Funny
on the
as
dais.
heck. There's some good ones out
There
there.
are some good ones.
I sent him one of a polar bear with gloves on in this chair, like on a floating iceberg,
And no Bernie, just the gloves in the chair.
and a polar bear.
You know, he's gotten more publicity out of that stupid photograph.
Actually is selling merchandise T-shirts with
Is
it.
he really?
Yes, and he's donating the
You know what he
proceeds.
needs to be doing? He needs to be selling those gloves. Whoever knitted those gloves.
No. There was a lady in Vermont that did it, but she was taxed out of business. Yeah, there was a story about that where she actually made the gloves and was selling them by popularity, and she had to close her business because she got charged too much taxes. That's the story I get, But you're the news guy, so
I'm not, no.
Yeah,
Hey,
George.
John Caldwell out in San Antonio. Glad you're here.
oh, San Antonio, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
George says, "Where are your mittens?"
Where are your mittens? We don't need mittens today. It's actually pretty nice outside. I don't know what it is, 60-something degrees or so. What are you doing?
It was clear skies whenever I left this morning. Got over here, it's all cloudy and
Ugly?
It was
Ugly.
dark when you left this morning.
it was dark when I got here, but you could tell the clouds versus the stars.
It's all those refineries we have in Sugarland.
Yeah, the
That's
big
what it is.
Sugarland refineries.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
Refining sugar.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, 'cause you can almost get out here on the street and see the sugar towers.
Ooh.
That was a street name,
Is
Sugar
that
Tower.
what those were? Sugar towers?
It's a street name, Sugar Tower.
Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. That's it. Now you can almost see the sugar factory.
Sugar factory.
It's been closed for quite some time.
Historic site. There's still
This whole area
yeah,
is.
absolutely
Imperial sugar, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
from the 1800s.
right.
And the actual
Another company
town
gone
center.
bankrupt.
town center of the city is 2-3 blocks that way.
And the movie Sugarland Express was filmed here.
It was.
Is it?
And also the song Midnight Special was
Right.
written by a prisoner right down the street over here at the prison.
Is the band Sugarland from here?
No.
Okay.
I
They're
think they're
not.
from Tennessee or Georgia or something. They're not from here. But just
They
I don't
should
wanna-
be.
They should be. Thanks for stealing the name, making us popular. Well, at any rate, we got a great show lined up today. You'll be hearing all about it here momentarily, but it ought to be fun. We don't have a guest in the first segment, which is always something that most people kind of look forward to. I don't know why, because we always wind up screwing it all up, and that's probably why.
well, that's why we go on before the show to, as Conrad would say, to stabilize.
Yep.
Yeah.
And George says the internet's stable.
Is it?
Yeah, we've done our job.
Well, the internet's the only thing that's stable.
I was going to say there's a comment in there somewhere.
Jeff is his band is going to play tomorrow afternoon at the County Line in Richmond.
Well, we're hosting, and it's a fun opportunity for other musicians to come. Generally, what happens is the band plays for about an hour or so, and then
Is this a long story? Because we need to go.
Yeah, it's going to be till probably about 11:30, and then other musicians come up and play.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot and stand by. Oh, good.
It helps if you turn the sound on, Don.
It does help. Here we go. It's always off to a great rolling start, don't you think? From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning all things automotive car talk show, In Wheel Time. Just ahead, a review of our new car of the week, the 2021 Jeep Cherokee. We'll also have This Week in Auto History, the Cruise-In calendar, and stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Howdy. Along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, sitting over in the corner where he belongs is Jeffrey Zekin. Don Armstrong here. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday here, coming to you live. We call it Houston, Texas, but it's actually in Sugar Land, Texas. That's why we were talking about Sugar Land before we officially went on the air this morning. So just wanted to clarify all of that. It's kind of like saying NHRA coming to you from the Spring Nationals in Houston, Texas. Well, that's partly true. It's in Baytown.
Is it actually Baytown? I thought it was a little bit east of Baytown. Like
no, it's
Highlands.
It's kind of in between Baytown and Cove.
Okay. It's somewhere out there.
That way.
That way. Yeah, that's it. They call it officially Baytown.
Towards Neaterville.
It's going that way, but it's still a long ways from Neaterville.
Yes, it is.
They built a highway out there to it.
They did.
From Neaterville.
Yeah,
It's called Interstate 10.
It's also called the evacuation route.
Oh, I was thinking of 99. They just built that one little section of 99 that comes south from I-10, basically a little bit past the track. I always thought it was because the track was there.
No,
it goes beyond that now.
Actually, they're finishing it. I flew over it the other day, not too long ago, and man, they are kicking some major butt on that thing.
On the northeast part of it?
Actually, it would be on the southeast. It's going to hook up with 146.
Okay.
Way over there.
Yeah, well, you're the only one up there in the flying over stuff. We're all just down here on the ground. What's going on that section of it out there by north of Kingwood?
That's what I'm talking about. All of that's being done all the way down there on the other side of town. So, in other words, if you go 99, the Grand Parkway, out there off of I-10, the Baytown East Freeway, like you're going to go to Neaterville, you go south, that's all of that stuff. There's a section of it that they've already completed now. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, they're working on all of that, south of there and north of there.
So they'll not have that done before they tear up downtown. Welcome to Houston.
Oh, no, they're already tearing up downtown when I came through there this morning.
What do you mean tearing it up? They're always...
I've been here since 87, and all these highways have been under construction since 87. I wish I had the concrete contract in Houston because it's a never-ending job.
It is.
Why? When you said something to I-10 to go to Nederland, why go to Nederland? I mean, that's...
because you have to stop and get gas on the way to New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
But there's no Buc-ee's out there.
No, there's not.
There's no reason to stop unless it's a Buc-ee's.
Plus, you have to go out of your way to get to Nederland.
Well, yeah, you do. It's way out of your way. It's like 8 miles off the freeway.
Again, why?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. No.
Because I'm there.
You are there.
No, you're here. You're in Sugar Land.
I think somebody's stealing the road.
I think that you guys are out of your minds. We're talking about all of this other stuff. This is a car show.
I know. Stabilization.
Well, we just want to make sure that the internet is up to speed for our raucous
4 minutes into the show
3-hour car show. Since we don't have a guest in this segment, Conrad and I decided that we're going to come up with some stuff of our own. Do you want to go?
Well, sure. Everybody always wonders what the most popular paint colors are for the year.
Who? Tell me those people.
I'm sure there's somebody out there.
The ones in Nederland.
The ones in Nederland. Well, right. There's something about the popularity of colors, and different colors kind of phase in and phase out. Back in the 90s, brown or that tan color really phased in and became quite popular.
Dad, why did you buy that color?
So what do you think the most popular color was in 2020 in the United States? White. And Europe, white. 30% in the United States, 38% in Europe, which kind of surprised me that it was that much more popular. Number 2 is solid black, both Europe and the United States at 19%. So
those two colors, I think, vary a little bit, but not by much.
No. But, 1 out of every 5 cars is black. I can't imagine. I know your Corvette's black. A black car in South Texas is just stress on the air conditioning system because it has to work that much harder all the time because it's endlessly absorbing.
And in a 2-passenger sports car with a cockpit is
And a glass roof.
and no, it doesn't have a glass. It's got one, but I don't use it.
You don't ever use it.
It's too hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I love the way a black car looks. I mean, it looks sleek. It looks elegant. I won't own one because it's too much work. I'll take the white car. That's the reason mine are white.
It is a lot of work.
I think that the color I like the most, and Angie had a. You remember they had that metallic tan champagne color Suburban for a while. Loved it. That car looked clean for months. You didn't really ever have to wash it. You just kind of, waited for the rain to blow the dust off.
Back in the day, I'm thinking 1983, somewhere in there. I bought a used car from Fred Henson, good friend of mine. He used to own Henson Motors up in Madisonville. Mm-hmm. I bought a used car. He had a used car lot then. I bought a used car from him. A 1978 Cadillac Coupe de Ville.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like it.
Champagne.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Very popular color. That's what I was talking about at the opening of this is how different colors have phased in and out of the industry. And that color was extremely popular back 80s, early 90s.
And when that thing was washed up with those wire wheel covers on it, man, it looked like $1 million. Yep. You're rolling in, right off of Hollywood and Vine. Well, maybe not Hollywood and Vine. That's a pretty bad part of town. But at any rate.
So what do you think the third most popular color was?
Red.
Last year?
Actually, gray.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Gray, silver, that combination of grays and silver.
We still get a lot of gray
grays,
cars in the press fleet.
And then the fourth was silver itself. So about 9% of the cars were silver. And then fifth was blue. Both Europe and the United States, and then red. And red is 7% in the United States and only 5% in Europe. So that's that's almost a 50% difference.
And all of those are Ferraris.
And
and the arrest record is high.
Yes, I always call them "pull me over red" when that bright red color seems to attract. And I think there's actually statistics that say that color vehicle gets the most tickets as well.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if that's a fact or fiction, but I just made it up.
I think it is, but I think it's because of the kind of car that red goes on and the way you drive that kind of a car. It's
no,
like having
you're speaking for yourself, Mars.
I'm just
Mr.
saying,
Tickets over here.
I'm just doing some research.
Yeah,
I'm
you're doing your
contributing
research. Personal research.
And then seventh most popular is the browns and beiges at 3% in both Europe and the United States. So when it was real popular, when you had it, and Angela had it, she had it on a Suburban, and then when you had it on your Cadillac, back then it was probably the third most popular color because, gosh, everything everybody made had some version of that color in it.
Yeah, my dad had a green Cadillac. I think it was a 67, and he also had a beige.
Did he have a pink Cadillac?
No, he did not. My mother had a white 60 Chevy.
With a 409?
It was a Malibu. No. And then he went into the Oldsmobiles. And
Smart guy into the Oldsmobiles.
The Browns.
It is green 63
let me ask you
F85.
something. I want to go off track here just a little bit and ask you a question. What is the fascination about Oldsmobiles, other than the fact that you worked for the Oldsmobile division?
Before I worked for them, I owned 2 of them.
Okay.
So when I came to Oklahoma, my first car was a 68 Cutlass S, and I just loved it. I beat on it and probably didn't maintain it as well as I could, and that car never failed.
It's loyalty. It's loyalty.
When I think of Oldsmobile,
to a degree,
kind of put them in the same boat as Pontiac and Buick. Now, I may be wrong.
No, and that's probably a good...
Because those 3 were kind of in the near luxury category
Correct.
back in the day.
And that's when they were structured at General Motors. That was where they were put. Buick on the comfort side of the near luxury, Pontiac on the performance side, and then Oldsmobile on the innovative side, because Oldsmobiles are always a little bit more innovative than some of the other brands. So, and then I had my '69 442 back then as well, which was actually Sebring yellow, which is the same color as my '70 Rally is. But I had them. I loved them. They were just durable, dependable cars, and I beat on them endlessly.
Needless to say, knowing you, I can only imagine. It's kind of like Mars doing his on-ramp acceleration test and getting tickets.
I owned my cars.
I had a '63 Oldsmobile F85. Had the 215 aluminum V8 engine in it. Beat the heck out of that thing, and it never slowed down.
Do you know where that 215 aluminum engine went?
Well, it went with the car.
No, it went to Range Rover.
Oh, it did?
Yeah,
did it?
Yeah, GM sold that whole casting of that 215 aluminum V8 to Range Rover in Europe, and it was actually the same engine that came in a TR8. When the TR8 had the V8, that was a version of that 215.
Yeah.
And the early Range Rovers, it was a version of that as
Who would have ever thunk that? Why?
Well, because somebody wanted a V8 cheap,
and they wanted
GM
it
just
light.
sold them all the castings.
It was all aluminum.
But a 215?
Well, that's, back then, that was, engines were much
215,
smaller.
265, 283. I mean, it's in that same family.
Well, you got to remember back in 62 and 63, Oldsmobile put an alcohol-injected turbocharger on one of those. They actually had a turbo called the Jetfire, and it had alcohol injection on it. Now, I call it alcohol injection.
We're going to have that tonight.
It was
It's going to be alcohol injected tonight.
It was actually almost windshield washer solvent that was injected into the engine to cool it.
Through the cooling channels, not necessarily the combustion.
into the combustion chamber.
Wow.
So it was like adding ethanol to it.
Yeah.
It was actually isopropyl.
So that was the first.
Our answer to that was we took the windshield washer deal and we took the tube instead of going to the white and put it into the top of the carburetor.
Spray it.
And sit there and pump on it when you need a little extra.
So that was the first invention of nitrous then.
Not quite.
Sort of, kind of.
Not quite.
Not necessarily gas, but
that was the intent, was trying to cool the engine.
It's funny you should say that. I vaguely remember something about when you wanted to have the windshield washers working, you pumped it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before there was an electric thing on the actual
motor,
wipers.
you had to pump it. Pump it to get it to going.
Oh, that was before my time.
Yeah. And then you could always take that tube and run it back and put it down on the rear tires.
And then if you did it right, you would have a little offshoot out there, and you'd turn the little knob and have injection right into your mouth in there for the real alcohol.
Oh gosh!
Like I said tonight.
So the 8th most popular color in the United States was green.
Think about that.
I am thinking about that.
That's a bad thing.
But wait just a minute. Let's take that one step further, shall we?
Oh gosh!
So I'm thinking, okay, so if you had alcohol,
it's a Shark Tank moment.
It is a Shark Tank moment. So if you had the alcohol up there in the windshield washer fluid, you wouldn't have alcohol in the car, so to speak, because the container would be up there.
Technically, you wouldn't have an open container. That's
right, there would be no open container. So then the question is, what kind of alcohol would you have in there? Like Everclear? Would you have a bottle of Everclear? Come on, Conrad.
Texas
this is right
blend.
up your alley.
Texas
you act
blend.
so straight and I know him.
Me, it would be tequila.
Yeah.
Would it be tequila?
Oh, absolutely.
Tequila's too expensive back then.
I was a tequila drinker.
Still am.
Used to drink Cuervo Gold tall on the rocks.
Well, you wouldn't want to have colored liquor in there. You want to have it clear.
Well,
Why?
I didn't like Everclear.
Clear liquor.
I know, but I never.
Like a vodka
you said
or something.
Everclear. I never liked Everclear.
Did I ever tell you my story about me and Everclear? I was working.
Sounds like a country song, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't
Me
it?
and Everclear.
Me and Everclear. So I was working at Richardson Chevrolet as a guy who was working in new car make ready.
All of these alcohol stories started at Richardson Chevrolet. What's going on with that?
And a car.
And a car. And so he says, hey, man, you want to go to Paul Berlin's Dome Shadows Club? They're having a dance night. I said,
I've been there.
sure.
With
let's go
Don?
there.
Not with Don.
You
But
might
I
have-
was
You
there.
might have been there with
Let's
Tom.
go there. Buffalo Speedway and South Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
I said, sure, let's go. First lighted dance floor in Houston, by the way. So we went there, but the problem was that we got there at 6 o'clock. There was nobody there. And back then, you
Probably
could,
had a 10 o'clock curfew.
you couldn't buy liquor by the drink. You had to take the bottle in.
BYOB.
And wasn't I old enough? I don't think I was old enough, but he was. So he went and bought some Everclear. I didn't know what Everclear was. I had no clue.
It's like 180 proof.
And then they danced together.
I found that out afterwards. So we sat there and I said, well, what are we going to? We just order up some Cokes or whatever and drink it like that. Okay. So they're by ourselves. 2 guys
dancing
in a bar with a lighted dance floor, listening to all the good rock and roll music by themselves. And
At 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
you know, the neck on one of those bottles is about that big. I had about that much. He had to carry me out of there.
Went to wipe something off your shoulder, and it was the floor.
Oh my God! That was, yes. I wound up having to spend the night on his couch because I couldn't move. I mean, I was absolutely wasted. Of course, I'd had nothing to eat. And what did I found out a lot that night about Everclear.
Didn't remember any of it, but you found out a lot.
I did.
Wow.
Anyway, are we going to go back to the colors now, or you want to stay on alcohol?
So green is 1% of the market in the United States.
Green.
Yellow in the United States is less than 1%.
Kathy had a green car. She had an Achieva.
Oh
She
my
hated
gosh.
that car.
Yes.
She hated it.
I can understand why.
Wait a minute, was that an Oldsmobile?
Yes, it was.
Don't ever bring that up in front of my wife. She will say bad words.
See, and Pontiac could sell Grand Ams till the cows came home, and the Oldsmobile Achieva was basically the same car, but whoever styled the Oldsmobile Achieva, it had to be
The same guy that did the Aztec?
Jose Feliciano must have styled the Achieva. 'Cause
Jose.
It had some of the
Feliciano.
oddest lines in it. It was what a mess that car was. But yeah, Pontiac was selling 250,000 Grand Ams at the time, and Oldsmobile couldn't give away an Achieva.
She will say bad words.
It was not a pretty car. There was just odd. It was just an oddly designed car. But anyhow, and then
Jose.
But in Europe, 2% of the vehicles are yellow. So, you know, that was really the only big differences in as far as placement of colors. So it seems like Europe does more yellow cars than the United States does. But who sells yellow cars in the United States?
Taxi
anyhow?
cabs.
Who buys them?
Right.
But the taxi
You
cabs
do.
in Europe are black, aren't they?
In
England.
Great Britain.
Yeah, Great Britain.
And they tend to be all that same British cab looking thing as
Yeah.
well. As opposed to here, where now, I guess,
What? Explain that to me. What is up with those British cabs?
Oh, I think that company, that's all they make, you know, is they just make that cab. And that's, you know, it's kind of like the United States with Checker. You know, the Checker cab, and it still has a following, and you can still find some of them driving around New York City.
And
a
you can
Rambler.
still find some of them for sale, and they're very expensive if you can find one that's been restored.
Was it a Rambler?
No, it was Checker.
Checker?
And
It's
then
actually a company.
It was a company that made purely a cab. They're
called commercial vehicles.
Right. I don't know that they made them for public consumption, but they made them like airport limos and cabs and stuff. And there was a period of time through the 60s, 70s that it was GM powertrain. So it had a GM small block Chevy and a General Motors hydromatic
Did not know
transmission in it.
Neat.
Emmons Brothers joined us. Morning, boys.
Oh, the Emmons brothers.
Good morning.
The guys that have all of the Wallies going back behind their head.
The moving wall.
Gents, it's good to see you.
Wally Wall.
Wally Wall. That's it.
We need to rig something up behind you. We need to.
And we could
On a
put it
little
on
train track.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. But we'd have to get cars big enough to hold a Wally.
Well, I'm sure the Emmons Brothers used car operation down there in Friendswood probably have enough cars for people to
There you go.
select from.
Yeah. We have to get them on again. See
Yeah,
how
good
things
morning.
are
That
going.
was fun. See what their plan is for 2021. I had seen. I guess Erica was running a survey on what she wanted her driving suit to look like. She had a couple of them up there. For
There's a
people to
choice?
pick them. Yeah, she had a choice. I don't, you have to be a stylist to figure something out. But so everybody's got.
Listen, that's right up my alley.
Ray.
Hey,
You ought to go on as Ray and give her an opinion.
listen, I like that. I like that one.
But it's got to freak all the NHRA folks out because the first race of the season is, I think it's March 14th, the Gator Nationals in Florida. And they're not starting the season out in California because California kind of
I'll be
still
honest
shut
with
down.
you. I'll be honest with you. I love Pomona. One of my favorite racetracks. It's old school. That's where it all started, Pomona. Have you ever been there?
Never been.
The L.A. County
Well, I've been to
Fairgrounds.
Pomona, but I've never been to the track.
Well, it's just right over the hill.
Right.
And at the top of the hill is the Pomona Mining Company. And I got a story to tell about that, too. Pomona Mining Company, a great big, spread out kind of steak place, a club, a dance floor, all that stuff. Anyway. But yeah,
There's a theme to the show: dawn and dance floors and being overserved alcohol. I'm sure.
and getting out there and make a total fool of myself.
When he worked at Richardson Chevrolet
No, this is probably when he was doing the NHRA.
in his red pumps.
Oh yes, ask Rob Geiger about the Safeway.
Oh gosh,
You can only imagine.
that sounds like a country song too.
he ran out of the Safeway because of something that I did in there.
Okay. What color's next?
Nothing. That's it. But
We're done with that.
yeah, and then what were the most popular cars in 2020? Starting the top 20 from the bottom of the list. Subaru Outback wagon.
What?
It was
That's a Bernie Sanders vehicle.
Was the 20th most popular vehicle, and then the 19th was a Subaru Forester. 18th was Ford Escape. 17th was Honda Accord, which is way down from where it used to be. Honda Accord
near the top.
outside of trucks was generally.
Have you looked at one?
Yeah, gosh, they're huge compared to what they were.
They're not only huge, but there's like it's
got
like
that
1990s look to it still.
Yeah, it's got that big chrome tooth in front of it too, kind of like remember the Acras used to have that big chrome tooth. Yeah,
It's like finding a blue peanut on a wedding cake.
Number 16 was Jeep Wrangler.
Wait just a moment. I need to explore that. A blue peanut on a wedding cake.
Yeah, you don't see that
No,
very often.
not very often. Okay.
Is there a story behind that?
No, it's just.
Is there a
something
Richardson
odd.
Chevrolet story behind it?
It could be.
Involving alcohol.
Back in the day when I
On the
worked.
dance floor.
So 16th was Jeep Wrangler. 15th was Jeep Grand Cherokee. 14th, which really surprised me, was Toyota Highlander.
What?
Yeah, I did not realize they sold that many of those vehicles.
didn't
But
either.
14th was
pretty
Toyota
popular.
Highlander. And then 13th was Toyota Corolla, which doesn't surprise me. 12th was Ford Explorer. But I have a feeling Ford Explorer, a lot of that's being driven by their fleet sales.
Yeah, but didn't you say 18th was the Escape? So we're getting into a little bit larger vehicle as we move up.
Correct. But the Explorer, they sell, and this would be included in these numbers, they sell a ton of those to fleet.
It's a good-looking vehicle. I've seen them, yeah.
And it's a good size because it's more of a upper mid-size SUV. So and then Ford Explorer was 12th. Nissan Rogue was 11th, which doesn't surprise me because the Rogue is Nissan's #1 selling vehicle. Toyota Tacoma was number 10. GM Sierra was number 9.
By the way, the Toyota Tacoma is the #1 selling mid-size pickup truck. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
But there's only four or five mid-sized pickup
Whatever,
trucks.
it's still #1.
The two GMs, the Toyota and the Nissan, and
The
Ford
Jeep
Ford Rangers there,
and the Ranger.
Gladiator. Oh, I don't consider. I didn't remember
The
Gladiator.
Nissan Rogue was the vehicle that hit me in my first Cadillac that totaled it.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, he hit me, he rolled, and I got a new Cadillac out of it. Yeah. Nissan Rogue.
Congratulations.
It was his mother's car.
Great.
Was it really? Nice.
Number 8 was Honda Civic. Number 7, and this really surprised me, was Chevrolet Equinox. I didn't realize they sold those in that volume.
Fleet.
So no, not necessarily. 'Cause
Rental?
That's not really a fleet. Possibly rental. They sold 170,000.
Well, fleet
Excuse
would
me,
also,
200
Okay, that's-
270,000 Nissan or Chevy Equinoxes in 20.
but fleet would be the same as rental.
Right.
They lump it all together.
Gotcha.
But they sold 350,000 of them in 19. So the sales went down, but it still kept its position. And then, of course, number one. What's the #1 car in the industry right now?
Cadillac.
Toyota Camry. So Toyota Camry's been the top selling car for quite some time, and Camry and Accord used to bounce between the two of them.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Accord's really fallen off. And then number 5 was Honda CRV at 333,000 vehicles in 2020. Toyota RAV4 at 430,000 vehicles. I didn't realize there was that big a disparity between the two of them. Number 3, our favorite, Ram pickup at 563,000, down from 633,000 last year.
That's the first mention of a Ram product, though.
Right.
In their whole list.
Well, yeah, but you had the 2 Jeeps earlier on.
Well, yeah, okay.
The FCAs. Number 2 was Chevy Silverado at 586,000, and they were the only one in the top 20, that and the GMC Sierra, that increased their sales. They were up 3% over last year. And then number 1, of course, and they've been number 1 for 42 years, and that's the Ford F-Series truck at 787,000, down 12% from 2019 at 900,000. So,
interesting story.
Well, you know, there's cars in there I didn't think would have been. I never would have guessed.
They're not real flashy. You don't see a whole lot of them. I mean, you don't recognize a whole lot of them, I guess is what I should say.
I'd have never guessed there would have been 2 Subarus in the top 20.
No, I wouldn't either.
Never.
Well, they were in the low 20s, but still.
But still.
It's time now for this hour's car review here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. 21 Jeep Cherokee. It comes in several trim levels: the Latitude Plus, the Latitude Luxe, and the Trailhawk, along with the Limited. Plenty. Review trim level is the Latitude Luxe 4x4. Small SUV, 5 passengers, no real major changes to the exterior from last year. The features include that famous 7-slot grille. Cannot mistake it for anything else other than a Jeep. Many exterior features, bringing it close to the Grand Cherokee looks, as a matter of fact. Just thought I'd throw that in there in case you didn't notice the similarity. Dual exhaust tips, good-looking wheels. What I liked, you could kind of, cheat the neighbors and tell them that it's a Cherokee, and they'll think it's a Grand Cherokee. I mean, look at it. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, you put them side by side, and other than size, they look a lot alike.
Yeah. Interior highlights: sharp-looking integrated dash, Uconnect infotainment system, easy-to-use controls, nice materials throughout the cabin as well. Cargo trunk room, enough for golf club sideways, and some luggage back there, so it's more than you would actually think. What I liked, the attention to detail on the actual Jeep Cherokee. What could use improvement? Wish they'd use a rotary shift knob instead of the actual handle. I mean, I've gotten used to that on many of the upper levels. Now you look at it and you go, man, what are they taking up all that space for?
And it does take up a lot of space.
Engine is a 3.2-liter V6, 271 horsepower. Torque is 239 pound-feet. Transmission, 9-speed automatic, and it can tow up to 1 ton. 2,000 pounds. Miles per gallon rated in the city, 19, on the highway, 27, for a combined of 22. I got 26.9 miles per gallon over 381.3. Now, 90% of my travels are on the tollway. So, there. What I liked about it, got that smooth V6 power. What could use improvement? Nothing. They do offer a turbo 4-cylinder if you're interested in that sort of thing. What I liked about it, with the 4x4, it's got a pretty smooth ride. Normally on a 4x4, you can actually feel the difference in the suspension, but not in this one. Base trim price $31,625. Prices tested $36,355. The base model price is $28,180. It competes against the Honda CR-V for $25,350, the Mazda CX-5 for $25,270, and the Subaru Forester for $26,438, the most expensive of them all.
Yeah, it's still right there playing in the market.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
depending on the content you want to put on it, whatever drives the price up. But
as always, shop, drive several vehicle models and brands, and compare.
But can you still do that? Because there's a lot of the internet purchases, and the advertising now is do it online.
I know that a lot of people are into that. Oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I'll look at it, and then I don't want to go into the dealership. Okay, well. You've got the choice now.
Well,
lots of choices.
And a lot of them will, even the dealerships will bring the car to you and let you test drive it. I think the test drive gets, a little COVID sensitive now.
Well,
everybody gets a little freaked out about it.
That is right, the COVID sensitivity, but you can also, there's prevention with the masks and the shields and the gloves and all that good. I would rather do that. I would rather drive it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine buying a car without getting behind the wheel and
Not me, but there's people that
driving
do that.
all the time.
And then if they deliver it to your house, you're kind of obligated to keep it.
Well, yeah, but some of them, they give you a money-back guarantee. Some of those, you see them advertised on TV. But, it's not a money-back guarantee.
No.
They
It's a
let
credit.
you return it to credit to buy something else out of their
So
inventory.
the lady across the street did that. She bought one. She called the dealership, said, "This is what I want." They delivered it, picked up her trade-in, and she never went and drove it. She just called and said, "This is what I want."
I guess there are a lot more people in the world that drive by like that than I ever knew. Because
Not me.
I was always taught, go in there, drive it, look it over, make sure that that's what you want. And
Kick the tires.
Yeah,
That's right.
do all that. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Pandora, Amazon, and Podcast Addict. And the In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
This is the award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike out of this world Mars and King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin too. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. And we have a guest, finally. I know that you're probably really thrilled about that because it gives us something else to do and talk to other than ourselves.
And not have to listen to us, right?
Exactly.
Jabber on.
So our guest this hour is Mr. Richard Tomlin. Are you in your car? Are you driving?
Down at MSR, NASA Sports Club is actually racing today. So out here with a few customers, supporting a few people.
A few customers for Apex?
Yeah, a few customers for Apex, and then we've got racers. This is a sister group for us. So SCCA is my sanctioning body, and NASA is the other sanctioning body that races a lot of cars. About 300 people out here today racing. So
Wow.
So
really good field of cars and selections. V8 guys just went by making a lot of noise.
So is there a mass of Mazdas out there as well? Usually any of those.
Always.
Any
Always.
of them, yeah, there's always a big buzz of MX-5s.
Yep. The car to have.
Okay, so you say you're down there to support them? In what way do you support them?
Everything from running parts to adjusting suspension to giving suggestions on alignment settings and changes to lines that people are driving on track. There's some people that are new to this facility. People as far away as New York this weekend.
Now let me ask you back to the alignment settings. Do you have an alignment machine there? How do you do that?
There's an alignment machine here, but most people already have the alignment settings marked, and they know what changes will modify your alignment. And you make a couple small changes and carry on.
Can I do that on the Corvette?
I wouldn't advise you doing it, Don.
You need a torque wrench.
Based on what I've been told.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it, and it's not a rumor. It's actually the truth. I would be so lost. But you can do it, and that's the way the guys do it usually?
Yeah, so you'll get your baseline settings. You'll come in certain tracks, different asphalt levels, how much grip you've got on that set of tires. Sometimes you'll put a little extra toe out. This track has favor for a camber, so people will usually pick up camber over what they would run at a normal track like NOLA, or maybe even at Circuit of the Americas.
I find that very interesting. Because, even at the novice level, which I would consider, SCCA or NASA, something like that, where it's not necessarily top pros, guys that are just now getting into it, that you would learn that sort of thing in that club or organization.
Yeah, that's where it all starts. You start here very incrementally, learning all these little details. And it's amazing how something as simple as adding a little toe out will change the entire mannerisms of the car.
Richard, is the track flat, or is it peaked and pitched into curves and turns?
If you hop online, MSR specifically, when it was built in a rice field. So what they did is they went in and built corners that are what we call on camber, and then they built corners that are off camber, so the actual road is going away from you. But online, they show a map that actually goes through it. And I think the highest one is 6 degrees of camber that you gain in one of the corners called the carousel. They've got a couple that drop off at 4 degrees camber. And if you're not paying attention, that's the kind of stuff that will catch you out. And if somebody hasn't done their homework to know the track well,
Yeah,
catch you out in the weeds on one of those
in the rice field.
Interesting. That's interesting.
When it's wet out here, it's very wet, and then when it's dry, it's extremely dry. During the Lemons race, we had a old school, let's just call it a hobby stock car that was racing with us in Lemons, and spun, went across the grass, and literally just set a trail like napalm across the fire. It was like a flamethrower just went across. The exhaust was warm on that one.
How funny.
So how many classes are running today?
There's going to be about 64 classes total because there's time trials and road race today.
Well, he said he had 300 cars.
Yeah.
And so do they have the MX-5s? Do they all run as one class, or do they intermingle in other classes as well?
There's about 5 classes you can run the Spec Miatas in. People will go up and down a class just to get more seat time, more track time. But the Spec Miata group today will probably have 50 cars in it. 45 to 50.
How much do they charge somebody to run in a race?
Entry fee this weekend's about $450, $375 to $450, depending on which license you need.
And how much track time will that get you?
You should net about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh my!
Oh, so at 8:30 in the morning, 300 cars. You've already had some classes go out. What's the duration of the day? And is it best to go out in the morning or afternoon, or
it's all sessions. So you've got prescribed times that you'll actually go out. They run this group runs 20-minute sessions for the entire weekend. So you go through those 8 and they cycle out. Most of the road race stuff is in the morning. The time trial stuff will be in the afternoon.
And is this a points event?
Yeah, this is their season opener this year.
Great. Okay. Is that the reason you mentioned you had somebody down from New York? Is that
the
reason they're coming down that far?
Yeah, just chasing season points.
The fact that
they're
it's
also
cold.
trying to get out of the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's miserable up there, I'm sure.
Well, I grew up there. It's miserable all the time up there.
Yeah, and when in the winter it's worse.
Well, I do have this. The February 7th, we are having an autocross at the dog track that's now closed in Hitchcock.
Yes.
I think it's the first time I've been able to tell you guys ahead of time that we're having one due to all the COVID restrictions. We've been on and off schedules, but February 7th, we will be racing at the dog track, HOUSECA, or find us on Facebook. Our last event, we had 130 cars show up out there. So things are getting back to normal in the car community, at least.
So that's Greyhound Park down there, right off of I-45?
Yep, I-45, exit 17.
So what would you charge Don to bring his vet down there?
No, they'd pay me so everybody could sit around and laugh.
They'd be the halftime entertainment.
Depends on the entertainment value. Putting him in a few cars would probably be more entertaining.
Yeah, listen to him scream like a girl.
Put an audio mic on him and let him see what fast looks like.
So that will be an invite for anybody who wants to come join SCCA for the day and run what you brung.
Listen, I'm not
Correct.
a professional
Show
when
up
it comes
in the
to that
car.
sort of stuff, but I can tell you that having done it once, if you want to immerse yourself into something that is just a ton of fun, you're not going to hurt the car. Take it out to an autocross.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a single car event.
Right.
There's only one car on the track at a time, basically. And you ride with somebody like Richard. He'll tell you what to do and how to do it. Is it a 2-gear event?
2-gear event. Most cars just first, seconds, all you need.
Right, exactly. And, top speed, what, maybe 50 miles, 60 miles an hour?
In a stock car, you'll see 50, 55. In the prepared cars, you'll see 70, 75.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I learned at my one and only event that the prepared cars, dude, they are prepared. I mean, it's a complete suspension redo, adjustability, all of that, and you can see one all the way across the parking lot coming at you. Yeah, it's major.
The way I explain it to them, Don, is the amount of grip that we generate on those cars, the prepared cars specifically, you get about 40 miles out of a set of tires.
Yeah, that's what I was
driving.
just about to ask. How quickly can you eat a set of tires, even in a stock class? Let's say, especially since your Corvette sounds like it needs tires, might be time to go run it at the track, and then it will definitely need tires.
I just had all the fluids changed by Carolina over Professional Auto Care, so it's ready to go. And now that I'm going to have to blow through a set of tires, this would be a perfect way to do
That's
it.
right. And what date is that at Gulf
That
Greyhound
one is
Park?
February 7th.
It's a
and
Sunday.
then I got another one March 7th. So
So those are both
first
Sundays?
weekends of the month.
Both Sundays?
Yep, both Sundays.
What time does it start and how much is it? I might go.
You need to be on site by 7, and it's $45 for non-members. Members are $35.
Like going bowling.
Right.
And if you drink beer, it's cheaper than going bowling.
And wear your bowling shirt while you're out
I'll
there.
wear my bowling shirt.
Well, I don't think Richard wants you drinking beer there.
I don't drink beer.
We've already talked about Everclear and
Yeah, no.
and
See, if
tequila.
I'm gonna
I was talking about it
drink,
being
it's not.
cheaper than buying a bunch of beer while you're bowling. It'd be cheaper to go drive the car.
I don't drink beer, and I go for the hard stuff. So you got that right.
That's even worse.
It's
then.
in his windshield washer.
It's in the windshield washer bottle.
Hey, so the Corvette, Don, you should get some tires though, because it looks like April we will be holding an event called Track Night in America. This is from the SCCA National Office, but they put 50,000 people on track last year across the U.S.
Oh, wow.
There's an event where you come in, you pay like $175, and you'll get basically 45 minutes to an hour of real track time.
Now, is that track time by yourself, or can somebody
Track
come?
time by yourself with coaching from outside the vehicle. Haggerty Insurance is one of the sponsors on this, so Angelica will be there as well. Honestly, it'd be good to get you guys down there just to see some of what we do and what kind of cars show up. This is no roll cages. You just show up in your basic car, bring your Corvette with a decent set of tires. We're going to get you out on a small track, Grand Sports Speedway, and get you out there to play a little bit and learn some of the things we do in our club.
Do you have a date on that, Richard?
Yeah, April 7th.
We don't have a date just yet. We're still working with Grand Sport, and we got a couple things going on in April, so timing is key, and we're trying to pick the right weekend. I think we got 4 events that month.
Okay, cool.
Now, are you
As
one
soon
of?
as I get a date, I will let you know, Don.
Okay, are you one of the coaches?
Yes, I will be. I should be the lead coach. We'll see what happens, though. If I can get somebody else to come in so I can go be a social butterfly, I'll probably go social butterfly.
Be a good opportunity to take an Olds rally out there.
No, I'm
yeah.
not going to beat on the Oldsmobile. I've used to beat on my 442. I'm not going to beat on this. I can't afford to break this one.
But
Private
not only,
nice.
but more importantly than that, he'd have to clean out the trunk, and that ain't gonna happen.
that ain't gonna happen. Tires and shocks.
Yeah, exactly.
They never let up, Richard.
So, Richard, did you bring a car out to this event today?
Nope, no cars for me today. All my stuff's broken again, so that's how it goes.
But how did you break it and where?
This is still recovering from Mexico. We took that rocket ship apart, and we upgraded from our little 5.3 motor to a 7-liter.
Oh, wow.
So, a little more power.
A little.
It should be amazing.
So when are you going back to Mexico to run?
April So end of April, we're back in Mexico.
So you're busy
You're gonna have a
April.
Busy April.
Yeah, April. We've also got Wrench Rally happening again. We're going to go from Houston to Vegas.
I saw that.
Goal is to donate 10 cars to single parents.
Yep.
So we donated 6, fall. So this spring, we're going to try and get 10 vehicles donated.
Yeah,
Are you
Richard,
going to go from here to Vegas, or are you going to go Vegas back to
No,
here?
here to Vegas.
Here to Vegas.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll buy a cheap car here and road trip it to Vegas. And one of the participants from the Wrench Rally here is in Phoenix, and he runs a car charity there. So we'll be donating directly to his
Okay, you
charity.
talked
Oh,
about
okay,
that before.
okay.
This sounds like a fun event. It really sounds good.
And what's your dollar limit on buying a car here?
Well, we're changing some of the rules. So what we're going to do is, when we did the last one, we set the value at, I think it was $1,750. But what we found was, when you're donating the car to a single mother or a single father, they need something with 4 doors, not 2. So we had a bunch of people running out grabbing BMWs, Mercedes, and Audis that were 2 doors. Great cars for the money, but it didn't help the family. So we're going to up the value, and we're going to increase the entry fee to where we go to a 4-person team instead of 2. Gives people more time to rest, relax, enjoy the event, and gets us a better car to donate to those single parents.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because the people sitting in the back are not going to be wanting to be sitting in the back of a Mazda Miata because there is no back.
Exactly.
So you're expecting a few more minivans and Suburbans and Tahoes this one, huh?
Hoping
That
anyway.
is the goal for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
For sure.
And for people to understand what Wrench Rally is, Richard coordinates the Wrench Rally, and go ahead and tell us what the criteria are to attend.
Well, what happens really is you get a bunch of your friends together, you buy a car, and literally the next day you set out on a 2,000-mile road trip with 3 of those best friends. And we set up rally points along the way, things you have to find, riddles, puzzles, if you want to call them that. We have waypoints, which are designated points that you have to go to within a certain amount of time. But then you can go off course and get all these additional bonuses. And it's a road trip, social event. We've got a service truck. We've also got Haggerty's on board with their AAA, basically. They have a roadside service that they'll provide for events that's just second to none. And it's about having a good time with friends and family. If you have to work on something, we're there to help you. Or
Do they remain friends after the event?
do what?
Do they remain friends after the event?
They have so far. Actually, there's a group of us that are getting together every other week for lunch since that event happened. It's pretty interesting.
Any marriages happen along the way?
Not yet.
Don's
You haven't been there,
looking for
Don's
number
hoping.
4.
He's always looking. Always looking.
So do you guys have lunch at Taco City down there in Alvin?
Oh yes, often.
That's a good place
Well,
to
I
eat.
heard you stopped by for my place for lunch the other day, and I wasn't there. So
Well, and they wouldn't let me hang out. They wanted me to get back in the truck and leave. I was kind of interested in hanging out, and they were, no, you need to get out of
no,
here.
you got to move along, sir. Move along.
We have too many secrets here.
Yeah, no loitering. So
Yeah,
what's the
it's-
date on that Wrench Rally?
The Wrench Rally is going to be 8th, 9th, and 10th of April.
Let me something. Do you happen to have an online calendar for yourself? So when
Yeah, for Richard?
when we want to, be you for a month, at least we'll know your schedule so we can glom
Right.
on.
We're working on that, and I'm learning this stuff now called YouTube.
Yeah.
So we're going to start having this YouTube channel, which I know you guys have been dealing with for the last year. So following in your footsteps.
Oh,
But,
Lord.
We're trying.
You said falling in our footsteps
Oh,
or following.
following.
Well, we wish you luck on Wrench Rally. It's a great charity event because one of the things I think you kind of mentioned is at the end of the event, the car is donated to a needy family in the area, though I think you're going to go to Vegas and then you're going to bring them back to Phoenix to donate them in the Phoenix area. But what a great thing to do, and people who are interested can get a hold of you where for Wrench Rally?
Facebook, Instagram, Wrench Rally on all of them. The website's still being developed. That's part of holding the release up right now is getting the web pages where it looks appropriate and speaks the message about what we're trying to do.
Now, Richard, where's the family? Are they located in Houston or in Vegas that you're donating the vehicle to?
These are going to be in Phoenix this time.
Phoenix, okay.
Yeah. We're working with a guy, JC Supercars, but he donated 12 cars to single mothers the month of December.
Wow.
And that's just what he does. He's got a supercar business, and they fund through his 501c3 to give cars away, but he gives away a car a month and 12 the month of December. So we're partnering up with him to learn some more. And then we're going to donate hopefully 10 cars to his charity when we're there.
Don would like to donate a Craftsman torque wrench to.
Yeah, I think I still have the broken one you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Sears representative. I'm sorry, the Craftsman representative to show up here and threaten me or actually apologize a lot.
I posted up a link to Wrench Rally on our Facebook stream here.
Oh, cool.
So
very good.
Hopefully, drive you some people interested.
Enjoy the 24 hours of Daytona this way today.
Starts
Ben
at
Keating, our Texas native, is on pole for class.
Yes. And Alec Udell's there wandering around, I think, looking for a drive.
Yeah, he's back in town today.
Oh,
he got back last night,
okay.
I believe. So
I know
we've got an event coming up with him in March as well. So I'll get those dates back to you.
Is
so
that the one?
about that.
Is that the one up at his up at the karting track?
No, this should be something that we're doing at MSR. This is going to be a lot of supercar focus, but I believe it's going to be on a Saturday. So it may be something we get you guys here too as well.
Well, you just never know where we might show up.
That's true.
Understood.
Yeah, it may
One
be
day we'll see the
directly
Corvette.
out of jail, but whatever.
We can help with that too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that you can after the race. Richard, it's great to talk to you, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, Richard Tomlin, and he is the executive for the SCCA here in the region, and he's also Mr. Apex Auto Works. So. Thank you very much, sir. A reminder that we'd love to hear from you anytime. Just shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. And if you don't know that by now, well, we just told you. info@inwheeltime.com. Anything and everything that you want to say, because guess who reads that? Mars over there.
Yes, sir.
That guy. So if you got something ugly,
Send me something.
If you got something to say, directly to him. Something ugly, Mars@inwheeltime.com.
Use a lot of bad words.
Yeah, bad words are always good.
Bad words are welcome.
All right, let's check in with Conrad and this week in auto history.
Well,
It's spelled OTTO.
no,
auto.
it isn't auto. It's auto.
It's odd. Oh.
How about Opel history? In 1899, the 5 Opel brothers
5.
began converting sewing machine and an appliance factory.
I know. I drove one of
into the
those.
automobile works in Russelsheim, Germany. I didn't realize that they had started as a sewing machine company. So this is the first vehicle they ever built.
They made an
is what you
Opel
see there.
vehicle. That was a who made the Opel? The little
Opel.
sports car.
Opel. In 1907, in Ormond Beach, Florida.
He's ignoring that
I know.
question.
Yeah, he is.
I like that car.
In 1907, in Ormond Beach, Florida, Glenn Curtis,
Oh, my God.
an engineer, got his start building motors for bicycles, set the unofficial land speed record on a home-built V8 motorcycle of 107 miles an hour.
And guess what? He didn't live after that.
Oh, my gosh, is that crazy?
Don't see a helmet. Don't see a parachute.
Nah, we don't need any of that.
Don't need no stinking helmet.
He went 107 miles an hour on that.
On
Good
that
for
thing.
him.
You're out of your mind.
Good for him.
In 1912, in Chicago, Illinois, the patent for the automobile horn.
By the way, let me just interrupt this. This guy here, the V8 on the bicycle, that would have been me at the Paul Berlin's Dome Shadows Club that night. And matter of fact, I think it was
Was that
because
1907?
that was the day that I shot across that lighted dance floor.
And the engine was donated by Richardson Chevrolet.
That's it.
So the automobile horn was patented in 1912 this week, and it was a multi-piped horn that was powered by the exhaust system, so it could actually play a tune.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of like a whoopee cushion.
How annoying would that be? Look at start the
And
car. and it
today,
starts
if
playing
you
a tune.
use the horn, you're almost going to get shot.
Look at that ad. That's
Reliable
Quite unique.
signal avoids accidents. Play it again.
blow it again, mister. Yep.
Let's
and
not
then
go
made
there.
in 4 sizes.
You said it, I didn't.
And then in 1920, the Lincoln Motor Car Company was founded this week, and 2 years later was acquired by Ford. I didn't realize that Lincoln stood alone by itself and then was acquired by
Was it
Ford.
Mr. Lincoln?
Yep.
Like, as in Abraham?
Well, not Abraham, but yeah.
Probably one of his relatives down the line a bit.
That's
Correct.
a good-looking car. I like that.
A very good-looking car. And then in 1950, Tucker, of the fame of Tucker Motor Company, with their pretty innovative car, the front headlight was directional when you turn the steering wheel. It had a rear engine, flat 6-cylinder in it. Very, very innovative.
My dad
car.
always talked about going to see that for the very first time at Soldier Field, which is where the Chicago Bears play. And it was a big, big deal because nothing had ever been seen like this before.
Did it have a helicopter engine?
Yes. It had an aeromotive engine, yeah. And then, the car was actually produced in 47 and 48 and had lots of remarkable features to it. But Tucker was indicted on 31 counts of fraud. And as he fought for his freedom in court, the company failed. So this week in 1950, Preston Tucker was cleared of all fraud charges against him, but it was a little too late, and the company had already failed. But Tucker Automobile was quite a historical car, and many believe that the legal actions against Tucker were sponsored by the big three automakers who feared the competition.
Yeah, conspired. Right.
Yeah.
And then the movie Tucker, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
It's actually a very cool movie talking about the story. There's a second picture of this same car if you roll it.
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Roll the picture. So, again, the engine was in the trunk, and that's the air for the radiator coming back. Look at the 6 exhaust pipes on it. Pretty cool little car.
Well, for the era, yeah.
Very cool car. And then in 1954, General Motors introduced the Firebird XP21 show car, the world's first gas turbine car.
I thought that was the coolest car.
Mm-hmm. And that car actually still exists at the Heritage Museum in Warren, Michigan.
Looks like a little soapbox derby car.
Yeah, well, yeah, but with a gas turbine, it's basically a jet engine in the back of it. There are actually 3 Firebirds that they had made back in the 50s. And then in 1965, the Shelby Gt350 was introduced, developed by American auto racer Carroll Shelby. They launched it this week in 65, and it featured a 306 horsepower 289. And right now, those cars are selling at auction, in the just short of the $1 million range.
I watched a Netflix show on Shelby. He was not a well man when he was driving. He had some health issues.
Well, I think that's why he retired from driving.
Right.
In the late 60s, I believe, is when he finally retired from driving.
Yeah, late 60s, but he health issues before that.
Right.
In the news this week, Toyota overtook Volkswagen Group to become the world's top-selling automaker in 2020 as the slump in demand caused by the coronavirus pandemic hit VW harder. It was the first time Toyota clinched the position in 5 years. VW's group global deliveries declined by 15%. The extent of the automaker's sales losses was largely determined by their level of exposure to the regions most disrupted by the virus. And James David Power. Ring a bell?
Yeah, why?
Turned a scrappy home business that tracked customer satisfaction with new quality vehicle into a global market research firm that today monitors everything from consumers' experience with new car sales and service to auto lenders, airlines, healthcare providers, home builders, and hoteliers. Died Saturday, a week ago today.
I didn't know that.
Huh. He was 89. Power died of natural causes at his home in Westlake Village, California. J.D. Power today, headquartered in Troy, Michigan, was launched in the family kitchen with an automotive customer survey thing that measured and ranked new vehicle quality. The company entered in the auto market with the first client, Toyota, back in 1969.
And
That's it for this.
Is the dominant survey.
Oh, absolutely. That's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Our next hour starts right after a quick break. Stay with us.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In-Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy, weather permitting. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning all things automotive car talk show, In Wheel Time. Just ahead, a review of our pre-owned car of the week, the 2017 Cadillac Ats. A look at some upcoming racing events you might be interested in, plus Conrad's Car Clinic and the stories making automotive news headlines. That and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin's right off camera, but you'll be seeing him here shortly. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. It's been an interesting hour, the first hour of the show, and now it is going to continue with hour number 2. God, I hope that this works out for all of us.
It's up to you. You have all the buttons to make all the noises and music.
Is that
and
impressive?
commercials. I wish you had some, like a rim shot or a horn honk or something like that. But again, we don't yet. We're not high tech enough.
No, if I could find the time, well, I have the time, to be honest with you. It's just my laziness. Because there are plenty of sound effects that I could put into our little gizmo here. But I didn't really want to go that way.
Because I'd be pushing the button.
Yeah, you'd be going, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button.
No, we'd slide it over here so I could push the button.
Oh, God, no. No. I know our limitations.
Actually, what we should do is let George push the button.
That's what we should do.
That would entertain all of us.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It would definitely be entertaining.
George, do you ever come to Houston? If you ever come to Houston, you must be a guest on the show. We'll just have you in studio here. Mars will get up and he can do his thing over there.
Yeah.
And we'll have you.
It'll be worth watching.
Yes, exactly. And we could all just leave and let him do the show. So
And he probably could.
I know that he could.
It would be a 5-hour show, though.
All in 3 hours.
And we would learn how to knit Bernie Sanders mittens. The 10 highest auction sales of 2020. Now, that's before we get into all of this. I kind of blew it because when we were off air, I kind of gave away what they are. But Jeff, what would you say are the 10 highest auction sales of 2020? Now, don't just think United States or domestic 3. This is worldwide. This is global, okay? 10 highest auto auction sales.
Well, we're talking about the auction itself or a car in the auction?
Well, cars in the auction.
Okay.
What?
Well, because we talk about
What part of that did
Miko make Kiss Me. They do like
Kissimmee,
millions. Kissimmee. They do millions there at that particular show.
No, I understand that.
Kissimmee.
So,
Yeah, Kissimmee too.
okay, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah, we're gone. Info at InWheelTime.com.
No. Better yet, it'd be Mars at
Conrad.
InWheelTime.com.
Well, for me, and I know you went through the list, but I would think Ferrari, some kind of Ferrari would be top of the list. And then there are those cars that start at those really uber high prices that when they do finally come to auction, retain that higher price.
Well, then there's the one-offs, too, like the Bullet car that sold for...
Well, you mentioned that. Yeah. And so the Mecum and Kissimmee, the Bullet Mustang, the
real Bullet Mustang.
It just says the original Bullet Mustang.
Yeah, it was in the movie.
That would be $3.74 million. $3.74 million.
I like that car, but
And
not
that didn't
much.
make the list.
Did you see the car? The car
It was
is
a beater.
Oh, I saw it in
ratted out.
Detroit. Ford had it up there as part of their display once they kind of got their hands on
Well,
it.
the
and figured
preview
it
to
out.
it was a driver, everyday daily driver for years. It
Well,
needed
think about what they
exhaust.
did to the car in the
Yeah.
movie.
And then
I mean,
and it
seriously.
set up for quite a while. So
The first C8 Corvette brought $3 million for charity in Scottsdale.
And the Kissimmee Mecum auction they just had back in January of this year, they sold Carroll Shelby's personal 427 Cobra for $5.4 million. But I know that didn't make the list either.
No,
are
didn't
you
make the
kidding
list.
me?
No, it didn't.
I'm thinking Hemi cars and things. And
Yeah, like I said,
Not even close.
don't just keep this American. Okay, this is global now.
Well, that's why I said Ferrari. There's always some Uber.
Okay, so you ready to
super
go down the
high-level
list?
Ferrari.
Here's number 10.
Let's go down the list. Let's
Czechoslovakian-
go up the list.
Up the list. Okay, starting at number 10.
We can
a
go
nine-
up yours.
I've had that done many times.
Easy.
1971 Lamborghini Miura,
Beautiful car.
a P400 SV Speciale.
Had a transverse mounted V12 behind the driver. So instead of it being longitudinally mounted, it was mounted sideways and sat behind the car. Kind of the Miura was the start of the supercar
how do you know all this stuff?
I was thinking the same thing.
because I'm just a car nut.
1971 Lamborghini Miura sold for $4,257,007. Wow,
Yep.
a lot.
Probably cost $6,000 when it was new.
Number 9, a 2001 Ferrari 550 GT1 Pro Drive. I've never heard of it.
Wow.
Sold for $4,290,000 at RM Sotheby's Shift Monterey in August of last year.
Which would have been at the Pebble Beach event.
Correct. 1950. This is number 8. 1953 Alfa Romeo BAT5. I have no clue what
That's
that
a
is.
small little
You
car.
you would know it when you saw it.
Yeah, it's a
because
tiny little car.
it was kind of this little winged bubble top thing. It was pretty cool.
Well,
We should have had pictures of these to go along.
well, we
with
didn't know.
I didn't know either. We were supposed to have a guest here, and so we're having to fill the time. And I thought that this would be a good
it.
thing.
No, it's a good story. Good.
Yeah. And I was
you go.
actually looking forward to this guest.
Picture Conrad.
Of all the guests that we had today, not to put down any of the other ones, but I was actually looking forward to this particular guest. And his name was Jose Evans. Jose, if you're listening,
Oh, God. Send your comments to Don at inwheeltime.com.
so the number 7 would be the 1954 Alfa Romeo BAT7. $4,946,666.
Yeah, there was a whole series of those cars.
Now,
Yeah.
you said that this is just worldwide, so it really doesn't. Does it have the auction name that they sold at? or-
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
I've
still
got all that.
Southwest.
Does anybody really care? Anyway,
None of this was Mecum.
no. No, they were not. This is another RM Sotheby's auction. And I don't remember where it's in here somewhere. It's a lot of information. that
Everybody
nobody
at
really
RM
cares.
Sotheby's is wearing suits. And they don't scream and yell and hoot and holler like they do at Mecum.
Very expensive suits. Italian made.
Italians. The cars are Italian made.
So I did the BAT 7 and the BAT D9. Now we're going to move to car number 5. Moving up the list. The 1931 Bugatti Type 55 Super Sport by Figioni.
Okay.
Or they call him
Fagoni.
It could be, or it could be Fig for short. Old Fig.
Oh, Fig.
Fragile.
Fragile.
And his son, Newton.
Newton.
Fig Newton.
Fig Newton. That
Well,
car,
and the Bugatti doesn't surprise me.
that car sold for $5,051,054. That was at Bonhams.
That's another high end. Yeah.
Number 4, the 1928 Bugatti Type 35C. Now, look, I appreciate all these cars. I really do. But they're just not for me. It's not my style. I don't like the way they look. Just not me. I don't care. but somebody does, to the tune of $5,224,483. The number 3 car, the 1932 Bugatti Type 55 Supersport. I like those Bugattis. Not that much.
That's like a d'elegance vehicle.
$7,100,000.
That's a big jump from 5, yeah.
The number 2 car, the 1937 Bugatti Type 57S Atalante.
Yeah, and that people would know that car if they saw that car. They did a replica of that car on Restoration Garage in the early part of the series, where they made their own version of it.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
Is that one of those they put on a Volkswagen frame?
No. But it's a real long nose and kind of a bubble split window back on it.
It took them years to hammer out this body.
Yep, and they actually ended up taking the one that they built to some high-level show like Pebble Beach or something.
But that is a cool show. That's one of that's one that I do watch.
Well, they do some pretty high-line cars.
Number 2, I guess I gave that, didn't I? The Bugatti 57S Atalante. Yeah. $10,433,956.
Yeah, and there's probably only 2 or 3 of those ever built.
I think in these kind of cars, my favorite would be the Delahaye.
Oh, yeah.
That whole Art Deco era of cars is just beautiful. And if you think about the metal work, because that was all hand-formed metal, the craftsmen it took to build some of those with all those swoopy lines and stuff.
Oh, my God, those huge fender wells. Do
you know what you don't hear about? The $7 million 32 Bugatti, turning it into a resto mod. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, you would just lose your butt on that one, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah,
and
you
taking
would.
it to Meekum.
But now, I watched Meekum Kissimmee that just went Kissimmee. You got me going, Mars. Kissimmee that just went through.
He's from Niederville, so pay no attention.
And the resto-modded C2 Corvettes, 63 through 67, the resto-modded C2 Corvettes drew more money than the originals.
But that's a Corvette. I'm talking like the Bugatti.
I know, but who would take a 63 Corvette split window and resto mod it?
It's probably
a lot of
shape.
people. A lot of people will, because I know where there's one sitting down there in Port Acres, and it's got
Port Acres.
Yes,
it's
got a whole new
Green
frame.
Acres.
Well, he bought a body. He found a body. Literally found a body. So he started from frame up. Well, you try and build it back original. It's like a monstrous fortune. And you can't drive it. Well, he wants to drive it. So he's got a frame. He had a frame built for it. He's got the fuel-injected engine. I mean, he's got it resto-modded so that he could drive it.
And his wife, Ellie Mae.
Yeah.
No, that was
the Hillbillies.
Beverly Hillbillies. Well, one of the resto-modded 63 Corvettes at Meekum went for $250,000, where a real 63 Fuelie went for like 140.
Yeah, but you can't get in that original real one and drive it from here to New Orleans for the weekend.
True.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can, but
would you
want
to?
Would you want to do your $250,000 resto modded one too? No. You trailer it over to cruising the coast, and if it wasn't raining, you'd pull it out of the trailer. But generally, you're not.
You
going
to see some of that stuff go through there. I headed that away.
Oh, they're cruising the coast. It's got some great irons.
The number one.
Tell us number 1, Don. We've wandered off the reservation here.
You have, and do you know, or Carrie, want to venture a guess of what kind of?
I'll say some kind of one-off Ferrari.
You?
Yeah, if you leave the Hemi cars, I'm lost.
Aston Martin.
No.
No.
Another Bugatti.
Well, yeah.
The number 1 car, 1934 Bugatti Type 59 sports car, called Sports. It went for, at the Gooding and Company, $12,666,600. Devil had something to do with that, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
You talk about having disposable income, because that's not a car you're going to do anything with
other than put
it in the garage.
Diaper and put it in the garage and leave it in there, because I imagine it needs to have a diaper underneath it because it leaks.
And then in a year sell it at another auction
for another extra $1 million. if the market holds. And right now, I'm not real sure the market's holding.
True.
Especially in Mars's muscle car Hemi world, because they sold a 70 Hemi Cuda at Mecum for it didn't hit reserve at $500,000. So the highest bid was $500,000 for 70 Hemi Cuda. Wasn't a vert, but still, you know, those Hemi Cudas were going super high dollar not that long ago. So value is however much somebody is willing to pay for it. Somebody was willing to pay $12 million for a Bugatti.
$666,000. Yeah.
34. That was a good year.
Yeah, for what? Wine?
You know, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, what I would do if I had $12 million, the kind of car.
You wouldn't be buying that. I can tell you
could
that.
build a heck of a car collection.
What?
And call it the Hemi Hideout.
Exactly. There you go.
And actually take those cars out for a drive.
Once in a while, yeah.
John does that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Can't wait till he opens back up. John, if you're watching today, give us an idea as if you have plans of this year opening back up. No, you don't think so? You think they're gonna? Well, I mean, they just
there
gotta
was a
protect
story that I
themselves and
didn't know if I've got it, but the story is that the 2021 Detroit Auto Show has now been canceled.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Who cares? It's Detroit. They were gonna have it in June.
No, they pushed it back
to June something.
No, they pushed it back to the fall.
Oh, did they?
They downsized it.
Done.
Well, I heard that was when they were supposed to introduce the new Z06 Corvette.
It's going to be September of 2022.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Detroit's generally in January.
Well, they this year
generally. Because I've been there many times.
They put it all. They'd swap the time on it.
They changed the whole thing.
Yeah,
actually,
been to many of them over the years.
it's not at Cobo Hall anymore.
Right,
it's
I
an
know.
outdoor event.
Well, who wants to go to January?
Who the hell wants to go to Cobo
Detroit,
Hall?
July in January.
go up there. That's my 2 days worth of snow that I get once a year.
Who wants to go to Detroit?
I
Really?
lived up there.
Any time of the year.
Why are you here?
Well, I lived up there for 22 years.
Because
I
that's
came
why
down
you're
here,
here.
and I'm still not thawed out.
Oh, hi, Suze.
No, there's the
baby.
Suze.
What you doing? Did you just come in
Anyway.
and check, make sure that we're all here?
Yeah, I think almost all the car shows they're either back into the fall of this year or they're already canceled this year.
And again, that's everybody's still waiting to see what's going on with the virus.
The schedules and stuff. I mean, Houston's now out to 22, and I don't think they've got a good date for 22 yet.
What they should do is have the vaccine
Well,
at a
it'd
car
be easy
show.
because they know they're not going to be. The Texans aren't going to be in the Super Bowl.
They ought to
There
have.
won't be any more Texans. They're going to sell them to Niederville.
Yeah, we could use them. We got a stadium that'll hold 17,000 people.
Yeah,
There
but
you go.
you guys
Perfect.
also have a state champion football team, don't you?
Well, it's next door.
Okay.
In the town next door, but we play them once a year.
They should have the vaccine at a car show. That'll draw the attention.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in January of 2022, we'll be starting to get back to what it's supposed to be.
Well, I think that's when Rochelle said right now that's what they're looking at for the Houston Auto Show. I mean, that would be their natural date, and they're not even going to try and do anything between now and then.
Yeah, it makes
Of course,
sense.
that's all based on the rodeo falling back to their normal time frame and the facility NRG becoming available.
And Lena Hidalgo allowing all of that.
Yeah, there's lots
Lena
of
Hidalgo.
ifs. Lots of Fs.
Yeah. All right. So that was the 10 highest auction sales of 2020. I don't even know why we talk about 2020. I want 2020 to
forget
go
about
away
it.
forever. Forget about it.
Forget about it. All right.
Did you have something else that you wanted to squeeze in?
Nope. That was
Well, thanks a lot.
most of my. Well, that was most. We got my colors and cars, so I got all of that.
That
and
went over like a fan dancer in a wind tunnel.
Fandango at a wind tunnel.
Fan dancer.
All right.
I have something.
Cool.
6 subtle, stealthy upgrades to modernize your class. Oh, I'm sorry. Your classic.
I was fixing to say.
Don has no class.
I have no class.
So how are you going to modernize
He
it?
needs 10 steps.
You see the little paper clip right there. It covered the
I
ick,
see.
the ick at the end.
So, well, you're going to expand it to 7. First is to empty your trunk.
No, that would be for you.
Yeah.
Not me. I don't have a trunk. So we don't have to worry about
Have a Corvette.
The next time he has that, we got to video the trunk.
Yeah, no thanks.
Let's see. There's something here about a 64 Oldsmobile Cutlass, but I don't want to do that. What you can do is you can update the suspension, going just a little bit lower with the suspension, which I did with the
It helps the looks of a car.
Along with larger anti-roll bars to limit body roll, can make a 60s boat handle like a much newer car. That kind of classic bolt-on suspension is totally reversible, doesn't do anything for the value or take away from it. So it's an easy thing to do.
And when doing that, especially on stabilizer bars, is to change the bushings on the stabilizer bars, because the stabilizer bars back in those days were all rubber. And now they make a neoprene bushing that'll really stiffen up the ride, but also keep you from
give that flexibility.
tilting and stuff, and and getting off angle.
Now I don't know about this one, but I bet you that you would like to have your original seats heated and cooled.
No, I'm not a fan of cooled seats at all. I've had them in company cars, and it's weird because it almost feels like you if they're cooled before you get in, it almost feels like you sit in a wet puddle of water.
It feels damp whenever you use it. Now, the heated, I could definitely go for heated, but
you don't need to have that in your seats anyway, because you just feel that way all the time.
He's just hot.
He's looking over here at you, Jeff.
No,
Looking at me.
You.
Angie's got heated seats in the Mercedes.
Well, I like heated seats.
I do like heated seats. Cool ones, I don't really care.
Conrad, do you use heated seats?
Nope.
You know,
I just fart in them.
Oh, because it probably smells like tuna casserole then.
Yeah. I'd like to have, my truck doesn't have heated seats. It's the only thing I'm missing. I wish I had. And I may end up trying to do I'm thinking about trying to do an upgrade and add the heated seats to it.
Well, I think you have to
my truck. My 2015 Ram.
I think
that's the only thing.
Add the whole seat.
Yeah,
it's not just a matter of putting a waffle iron underneath it.
Or a heating pad.
A waffle iron.
Well, I say that I ended up doing a liability.
Here we go.
A liability investigation for General Motors back when they first came out with heated seats, and literally, we had to see the pictures of this guy, and I guess when heated seats first came out,
my mind is already there.
They didn't have an automatic timer on them. They didn't just turn off. So if you turned them on and drove from here to Dallas, when you got to Dallas, the seat stayed hot the whole time. Well, this poor guy ended up, you could see the gridding of the heated seat had kind of given him a third-degree burn on his lower back and his butt. And
it's like those beads the cab drivers would put on their seats. You know, the air.
Yeah,
beads.
Except I think GM paid the guy some money on the deal because it
so
really
you got to see this guy's butt.
I didn't see it in real life.
I know, but you saw pictures of it.
Yes, his attorney provided us.
His last name wasn't Jackson, was it?
No, it wasn't. And then it was right after that they put a timer on the heated seats, and now they're on for a period of time, and then they automatically turn.
Now on mine, it's got 3 levels. You've got your the back of your legs, you got the buttocks area, and then you got your lower back, the lumbar area. Right.
But they all time out.
Here's another upgrade. Yeah. Here's another upgrade for your car. Disc brakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you got do you have disc brakes in the front of yours?
Mine came with disc brakes, but it was an option in 1970, as it was, because most cars back then came with 4 drums.
GM began rolling out its HEI ignition system in '74 with a long-lasting electronic module that didn't require any maintenance. Ignition curves were still set by a centrifugal weight and spring system, but if you like to tailor your ignition curve to the engine, an aftermarket digital ignition box can handle that for you. The Cutlass that we're talking about here, the Cutlass uses an HEI from a later production Olds V8, making the install simple.
I have HEI on the Rally.
Do you?
Yep.
So somebody made that conversion.
Correct. And I like that because, yes, I know how to set points and I know how to replace condensers, but I don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's something you have to maintain. You have to work on it all the time. In HEI, you don't.
Here's one, and this is for you, and you're going to do this. Put an overdrive in it.
Yes.
Because this particular transmission was a 204R 4-speed from the early 80s that the guy swapped in there.
It's almost a bolt-in for the Turbo 350.
Yeah. $2,000 1 day's work, you're done.
Yeah, and I think the length of the transmission's the same. I think it's within a ½ inch of itself. The only thing you have to do is move the transmission mount back about 6.5 inches, but the length of the transmission's the same. So where the mount is in the tail.
And you have factory AC.
I have factory AC.
It's not that big clunky thing hanging underneath the middle of the dash.
Oh, no. It's factory AC.
So adding AC to a classic car can be easy if it's a popular model with a strong aftermarket. If not, you might have to get creative. Vintage Air makes underdash ACs for dozens of popular models. About $1,500 and do it yourself. Take you a weekend.
Do you have the big canister Frigidaire? Or you got the small round one?
No, I've got the A6, the big long one.
The big tube.
Yeah, but you got to think that the A6 compressor takes about 40 horsepower to run.
Huh.
But it will throw ice at you when everything's working. And then the R4, which is what you have on your. No, you got the DA6. You got the later generation. But there was another one, a big round one,
right,
called the R4 on the GMs that took about 18 horsepower to run. So as they were trying to do things in air conditioning systems, they were trying to reduce the engine load, because if they can reduce the engine load, they could increase the fuel economy.
Well, that's why you would always turn off the air if you wanted some power to uphill or race.
Well, on most cars back then, even the non-computer cars, the AC compressor generally would have a shutoff switch at wide open throttle.
Is that horsepower still hold up to today, or are they less?
Oh, no, they're much less. I think air conditioning systems now are probably drawing somewhere less than 10 horsepower. And then you got to look at some cars, the air conditioning system is actually run electrically.
True. Yeah.
On those cars that have the auto start stop feature,
oh God,
a lot of times the AC is run off of an electric motor driving an AC compressor.
Would you like to do your car review? Because
sure.
I've got it listed here that it's time to do that.
Yeah, we're running just a tad behind, but
yeah, we are.
Mike, you want to take this over, or all right?
I thought that you guys had it all set up that you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, but Mike's got to do the switching for him.
Mike's got to do the switching.
Oh, okay. So,
let me get my...
See, this is a very kind of a one-man band operation here. So each of us have certain things that we do during the show that you don't really care about. Until we can't, or some huge malfunction or some sort of internet glitch or whatever it is.
Pick one.
Pick one.
Well, I'm going to pick this one because this is a 2017 Cadillac Ats V6. Now, kind of threw you a curve because the V6 is the V.
The V.
It's the V. And it's a beautiful car.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason why I'm doing this is because John and I talked last week. He says, do another Cadillac. I said, well, okay, why not?
Now, this is the Camaro version of this particular chassis.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. Yeah.
Well,
this
particular car is built on the Camaro chassis
platform.
Either the 4-door or the 2. They just stretch it.
The C6.
And then this is the 4-door. And I don't know. You can't
C6
Camaro.
Oh, okay.
So it's an ATS 4-door. They also make a 2-door. It's an ATS V. It's a 5-passenger vehicle. It's a pretty vehicle. I like that shot right there. Exterior features, obviously, you've got the wheels. You've got the rear spoiler. You've got the aluminum wheels, performance tires, the big open grille that you just saw there, and very stylish. Sort of it's the Cadillac's version of a Euro, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then improvements. They improve them all the time, year over year. And if you want to move the shot, we'll get into the interior side of it because I've got some special stuff coming up toward the end. You got leather seating, heated and cooled seats with the lumbar, Conrad. You've got a leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is also heated. I have that in mine. It's a great thing. I never wear gloves like Bernie.
Mittens.
Heated power mirrors. You got the rain-sensing wipers, HID headlights, heads-up display also, which I like. I
like heads-up display.
I do as well.
Right.
I think it's neat.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a fighter pilot. Premium sound. You got the Wi-Fi hotspot, 7-inch display screen on that. Now, that pod that you see there is the exact same one I have in my SRX. So,
which in the ATS, they really changed. Remember in the CTS, the previous generation CTS, it elevated from the top of the dash and went down in. The integration into the dash, it just makes sense. I never liked that rise.
It looked hokey. It looked aftermarket. It looked not good. But this is great. Now, everything in that car is run through that head right there. So I've had a couple replaced over the years of mine with failures of whatever the computer and such. But everything is run through that. So with this, moving on to the next one, it's a V6 turbo, and the horsepower is 464 at 5850
How
RPM.
much?
464
horsepower.
Yes, at 5850 RPM.
Oh my God!
Actually,
Yeah.
I think it's a twin turbo.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a twin turbo. Yes, I did say single. I apologize. And then the torque is 445 foot-pounds of torque.
Picture
at
that
35.
engine is not the turbo engine.
No, it is not. But that's what's available on the site. You can get an 8-speed auto or a 6-speed manual in this, which the 6-speed is generally the option is the automatic.
Right.
It's not mandatory, but they come with a 6-speed manual. 17 miles per gallon on the city, 23 on the highway, 19 is the average. Now, I get 19 on mine.
Faster than warm cow slobber on a brass doorknob.
Oh, nice. Nice. I like
Oh, good Lord.
Nice.
Did you bring that down here from up north?
No, but the ATS-V was a fun car to drive.
They didn't sell any of them.
Yeah, they sold.
They didn't
all
sell any
wanted.
of the ATSs.
No,
which is
they
a real
didn't.
shame.
Not enough. It was a
Well,
good little
the
car.
ATS also, the 2-liter, they sold a lot of those.
Right.
The 4-cylinder 2-liter, yeah.
And it also came in a coupe.
Yes,
came in a
absolutely.
2-door as
And you
well.
can tell by the back, the rear end look of it with the exhaust layout on the coupe versus
If it
the
was
4-door.
if it was a V.
Right. Active suspension, magnetic ride, McPherson struts, all that good stuff. Now, because it's a 2017, it is a V. It's a performance vehicle, 25.4.
That's a steal for
I was
that
going to say
car.
that's probably
With
less than half the price of a new one.
52,000 miles. Absolutely. Now, if you wanted to go with the 4-cylinder,
$52,000.
52,000 miles, $25,400.
Okay.
So it is a steal. It's a bargain.
And
for
actually,
the V6.
Cadillac raced that
Yep.
car.
Oh, I was going to wear my racing shirt.
With,
Ooh, look, there's some logos. What
We're
do you got
getting
in
into
there?
that. One more thing. If you want to get the 4-cylinder, it's 17.9 with 49,000 miles on it.
Hell no.
I've got my list of stuff here for the logos. Now, the Cadillac Logo, there was a gentleman by the name of Anton de Lamothe Cadillac in 1902. He came to the States. He touted that he was part of the Royal French family, which he was not. This is, over the years, they designed it by a coat of arms, and some folks thought that Christopher Columbus actually designed it, but he didn't. This person was more of a scammer coming over, but he did have an influence on the Cadillac Detroit, Cadillac County, Cadillac City in Detroit. It's a coat of arms in America, and bottom line is that there are several things for it.
Is this a long story?
Yeah, it's going to go on for days.
Is there a handshake involved?
No, there's no handshake. But the Cadillac logo contains a wide range of colors, including black, red, gray, yellow, silver, and blue. Mm-hmm. Every color has its own special meaning. They symbolize creativity, excellence, passion, grandeur, business responsibility that was established by the automaker.
Okay. Well,
there you go.
Somebody in the marketing department did their job, I guess.
In '96, they dropped the Merlettes.
Yes.
Because remember, they used to have,
Mike could
they
go
used
to
to
the
have a
shot
little
of
duck in them, and they're
Perfect.
They're duckless.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, God, we don't want to even go there. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Pandora, Amazon, and Podcast Addict. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting.
Hello, everybody. I had the music up a little bit too loud.
What?
What? I'm sorry. I was sidetracked over here. for multiple reasons. We were discussing weird and off-the-wall things. But anyway, welcome to the award-winning In Real Time Car Show, your go-to all things automotive place, along with Mike Mars, Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin over there. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. And Will Coleman. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It does? Good. Because he is our guest today. And,
he's been on before.
Yep. And so he is with Alto Partners. And he's here today to talk about car share.
Ride share.
I've got music in my ear.
How about now?
I've got voices in my head.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like that music.
I do too.
Thank you. At any rate, so Will, it's good to talk to you. I know that we'd had some sort of an issue with actually seeing you, so you're going to be on the phone today, I understand. But
he's in the witness protection program.
Is that what it is, Will? Is that what it is, really?
Hello, Will. Will, you there?
Oh, sorry. Now you should be there, Will. Go ahead. Huh?
Hello, Will.
He's talking. I can't.
Well, we can't. Come on, Don. Turn him on.
Can we hear you now, Will?
I can hear you guys.
Oh, there we go. Good. Yeah, now we got you.
That was the 10-second delay, kind of like the witness protection.
Protection.
The witness protection program.
You're keeping me on the 10-second delay. I promise no profanity this morning.
Oh, well actually,
that's okay.
That's required on this show, so never mind any of that. So, Alto, tell me about Alto. Tell me first of all, what do you do?
Yeah, Don, I'm the founder and CEO, so I do a little bit of everything. Some days, I'm doing radio shows, and other days I'm the head janitor. But
I was going to ask, do you have the vacuum cleaner?
I got a vacuum cleaner for Christmas.
Great, perfect.
If you really want to know.
Great to know. Where are you located physically?
I'm in Dallas this morning, and our headquarters is here in Dallas. At Alto, you might be asking about Alto more than me personally, but at Alto, what we do is we do ride share, elevated. Alto means elevated, and we are elevating the experience in ride share for both passengers and drivers. As we talked about last time, we're really excited to be down in Houston now. We founded the company here in Dallas and operated here for a couple of years, and we're excited to get to Houston when we launch back in October.
Well, I sure am glad, just to go a little bit off track here, I did want to congratulate you on at least having a football team up there. And it looks like most of us down here are going to be becoming Dallas Cowboy fans if we're not already.
Well, who knows? Deshaun Watson may go to Dallas.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
he wants to go somewhere.
It's not clear that either of our football teams has a quarterback that we can count on. So, we've got, I think.
Well, ours is looking.
We can commiserate in that misery.
Yeah, so ours is looking. So tell Jerry, give him a little elbow, on the shoulder and say, hey, Jerry, guess what? They got a actual quarterback down there in Houston is looking for a place, and he could still live in Houston and practice up there.
Yeah, he can commute.
But back to the topic here. Alto ride share.
No, I'd rather talk about football right now.
No, you don't. You don't even watch football.
Badminton.
Alto ride share is an elevated ride share.
What does that mean?
It's a little bit nicer than the Ubers.
Let Will explain it.
Tell us about it, Will.
Yeah. I mean, elevated to us really means three things. It's all about safety, consistency, and quality. And so we're really focused on doing things a bit differently in order to ensure that every single ride is safe, high quality, and that consistent experience shines through for our customers every single time. To do that, we operate differently than our competitors. We have W-2 employee drivers, not independent contractors like most transportation companies. And we have a dedicated fleet of vehicles. That means like an airline or a hotel, we're responsible for that asset. We clean and disinfect it daily. We can keep it safe and well-maintained so that every single time you hail an Alto via our app, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know the experience you can expect, and you know that you're getting into a car that is clean and safe, which we think is even more important now than when we founded the company, and something that consumers are really looking for as they try to get back on the road, get moving again. We know that movement is critical to our society and to rebuilding our economy. And so we want to be there to help people do that in the safest way possible.
So you said that you own the asset. So these are vehicles that are owned by Alto, not like some of the other ride shares that are out there that, whoever it is driving, it's their personal vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. We actually think that there's a huge opportunity to build the capabilities required for an eventual autonomous transition. We think that transition is still 10 to 15 years away in our industry. And so drivers are a core part of our offering, and we think will be for a really long time. But owning the asset and building the operational capability to run a fleet of vehicles, hundreds of thousands of cars across the U.S. and around the world, we think is a really different set of capabilities than what exists today when each individual driver brings their own vehicle to the platform. And so we think that what we're doing obviously creates a great customer experience today, but also allows us to build those capabilities for the future so that we will be the eventual winner in that autonomous robo-taxi world. And we know that that's going to be really, really valuable when it does happen. And so we're starting now because there's a lot to build.
Financially, are you competitive with, say, Lyft and Uber?
We're half the cost of their premium products. So we think that we are a better experience than even what you can get in the Uber and Lyft premium levels with half the price. That does still make us a bit more expensive than the absolute cheapest option on the road. But our customers typically are willing to pay those few extra dollars in order to, get that consistent experience. We see it a lot like a Starbucks coffee. You can get a coffee a lot cheaper at a gas station or somewhere else, but people go to Starbucks because they know exactly what it's going to taste like, what it's going to smell like, and that they're going to make it exactly the way you want it. And that's at any Starbucks, in any city all over the world. And we think that consistency, that branded standard is worth it, and that our customers really value that.
And you have some control in that consistency by owning the fleet, as opposed to the two big name competitors that are in the market. You never really know what's going to show up. And actually, I've used them in the past, and what shows up isn't what's on my phone. And the guy shows up in something else, and it's like, oh, my other car is broke down, and I'm borrowing my daughter's car or something like that. I'm like, oh, do they know that? I don't think you're supposed to do this. But I took the ride anyhow.
Well, I've been in Detroit.
We call that rideshare roulette. And yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, in particular, it's a safety issue, right? You don't really know in those cases, if that car is registered, if it's been inspected, if it's safe, if that's the right driver, have they been through the background checks? And I think, a lot of people have been in those situations. We talk to women and men all the time that say, yeah, I mean, I sometimes, I find that exact case where the car shows up and it's not exactly what the app says, or I didn't expect. And you know what? I ended up just getting in because I was in a hurry, or it was there. And we don't think that's a great, that's a great trade-off that people should have to make.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
We're trying to fix that problem for sure.
You had coined a phrase a couple of minutes ago, and I'm wondering, and I want credit for this. So if you make money on it, I want a little bit of that money. Or at least advertising on the show for it, is robo ride share. Have you trademarked that yet?
No, but maybe we should get after it.
That's a good idea. Either that or own the website address.
I like the roulette comment.
Yeah, I don't know if we want rideshare roulette. There's some bad connotations.
Yeah, that may not work so good. Some different places.
Robo rideshare makes sense because the autonomous car, there are parts of the country that autonomous cars are functioning today because they're still in test mode, but they are on the road. There's autonomous cars in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. There's autonomous cars. Yeah. There's autonomous cars driving around San Francisco.
Bernie's in the back seat.
With his
mittens on. So but that's kind of you're getting into that market, and that's a little bit of your plan. Is that correct? Is to be the leader in the robo rideshare once it becomes more popular?
Yeah, you can imagine that, the things required, the capabilities, we call them, required to operate in that world are much, much different, right? I mean, our business, we obviously have a major part of it that's customer facing around, actually our apps and our service for our customers. But there's also a really big back end of our operating facilities, our depots, we call them, where we store and maintain and clean and fuel and charge our vehicles. The technology is quite different in terms of how we think about optimization of that fleet and supply and demand management and positioning and repositioning of the cars to ensure that they're properly dispersed within our service area to serve our customers in the best possible way. And all of those things are quite different than in a marketplace model where an Uber or a Lyft doesn't really have any control over supply. They don't want that control. And it leads to different outcomes, not only for us as a business, but for the cities in which we operate. Our ability to have that control over supply means that we can make sure not to oversaturate any given area of a city, to reduce congestion, reduce vehicle miles traveled, reduce emissions. And all these things we think are actually really important as an operator as well, things that we can do better and provide better outcomes, not only for our customers, again, but for the entire community in which we operate. And so those are really, the mission of Alto is to elevate the experience for our passengers, for our drivers, and, for the communities where we work.
You will. You've mentioned community several times. So you came to Houston back in October. Alto came down to Houston back in October, and you immediately got involved. I think for the election, you were offering people some rides or some help getting to the polling sites for the election back in the first part of November. And then Thanksgiving, later on in that month, you were doing some things for the community as far as making sure people had some food. You were, if I remember right, you were picking up donations and making some deliveries.
Yeah, we did a huge that's absolutely right. We did a huge canned food drive where we encouraged customers to just put cans out on their porch and made it really easy for them to be able to make donations. We then went and picked all those up for free and took them to the food bank there in Houston. And we're really, we feel that it's really important to be integrated into the communities that we operate in, and that we have a unique capability by being out on the road and having these assets to really use them in productive ways. There's fluctuations in demand for rideshare. You might expect that fewer people are moving at 11 a.m. than at 7 a.m. or at 7 p.m. And so this gives us real unique ways in which we can leverage our assets and give back. Actually, we just launched a special car in Houston called our Art Car by an artist there in Houston, Shelby Gt350. And
we're actually bringing it up.
It's a moving piece of art that we've kind of put onto the streets in Houston to try and bring a little bit of cheer and smiles to anybody that sees it as it's driving by. And we think that it's those sorts of things that allow us to really, be a different, have a different feel in terms of our relationship with the cities, the states, the communities in which we operate. One that we've seen, many of our competitors take a much more, I'll call it, adversarial approach, and we think there's a lot more we can do to be partners.
Yeah, people will see that one coming, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's we've got a picture of it up there. We had a picture up there of the artist Shelby Gt350, and it's very
artsy,
but it's also very friendly. I mean, it's not like a big black Suburban pulling up in the middle of the night, and you're kind of wondering who's in it. This is very, very inviting, if you will.
Colorful,
yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Shelby is actually a pretty well-known public artist. She's worked in Houston. I think she has a project where she paints murals on some electrical boxes around town to make them kind of stand out and be a little bit more of a
Target,
something fun to look at than an eyesore. She's done stuff with Kendra Scott, the NFL as part of the Super Bowl when it was in Houston, and I think a lot of others, and we're really excited to partner with her because it's a great way for us to display our asset, our brand, our car, but also to raise her up and to showcase her art and to make more people aware of what she's doing in the community. And so it's really, a win-win partnership, we think, and something we've always been excited about to be able to do in those cities we operate.
So, Will, what's the next step here in the Houston area?
It's all about growth now. We started, I think, as we talked about last time, kind of in a smaller service area with a relatively small fleet of only 25 vehicles. We've grown that fleet, almost doubled it since then, and are adding new cars all the time. We're getting more customers, more businesses, more consumers that are reaching out and excited to partner with us and to take rides. And so we're really leaning into that. We do feel that our differentiation is, again, more important today than it ever has been. I've said that before, and I really believe that. I think that what we're able to do to offer people, a way to get around safely in this time. And we think this, unfortunately, that this kind of need for safety and cleanliness is going to last for quite some time, and that we're going to be able to continue to do that. So we're excited to continue to grow within Houston to serve more and more of the greater Houston area. We've got our eyes set, on Katy and the Woodlands and continuing to expand as we grow the fleet and can grow our driver base.
RideAlto.com.
Yeah, ridealto.com, or you can find us on the Google Play Store or App Store, searching Ride Alto there as well, and download our app and sign up. We create an account and you can join Alto, which allows you to get discounts on all of your rides. So our members receive 30% lower fares than guests, and they have access to our fleet anytime, even in periods of high demand. We give away a free month of membership so people can try it out, and we'd love to have your customers or your listeners be our customers and give us a try. We are always looking to expand the user base and excited to continue to grow in Houston.
All right. Well, very good. Will, thanks so much for joining us today. It's ridealto.com, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great Saturday.
You do the same. Okay, time now here on the In Wheel Time Car Show for Conrad's Car Clinic. And I know that you have something over there.
Yeah, well, kind of want to talk a little bit today about owners assume that our vehicles will be reliable, and if we just kind of listen to Will, that's pretty important. We trust that the brakes are going to stop the car every time. And if you think about how a brake system works, you step on the pedal and the car stops. That's what it's supposed to do. There's a whole lot of engineering that goes into that. And, you're trying to stop basically a 4,000 pound vehicle by slamming on the brakes. And that causes all kinds of stresses and upsets on the vehicle. You got to make sure the tires are gripping the ground correctly. You got to make sure that the brakes are stopping the vehicle. And you're talking about basically stopping a charging rhinoceros when you slam on the brakes when you're trying to stop the vehicle. And you want to depend on the fact that that's going to work. At a glance, your brake system doesn't seem too complex. Hit the pedal, the car stops. But the hardest working parts of the system create a lot of heat, and that heat can be detrimental to the vehicle. Considering the great amount of friction it takes to accomplish this, it's no surprise that your brake fluid takes a beating. Brake fluids have additive packages built into them. Some are much better than others, and those additive packages include some pretty pretty powerful players like corrosion inhibitors, anti-wear, and antioxidants. All that may seem kind of complicated sciencey words, but trust me, these additives are crucial to the reliability of your brakes. Every time you use the brake pedal, you increase the heat in the brake system from the friction, and the higher the friction, the higher the heat, and that heat causes the fluid to expand. When the fluid cools and contracts, it draws in a little bit of humidity from the outside air, and that humidity, when you bring it into the system, is really what creates the issue. And the issue is the sponginess of a brake pedal. So we want to make sure you're extracting all that humidity out on a regular basis. One of the ways you can test brake fluid is to check the copper level inside your brake fluid. Your brake lines and your braking system, there's actually quite a bit of copper in it. And as the fluid ages, it leaches copper out of the inside of the system. And you can measure the level of copper with a test strip. It kind of goes from white to purple, and the darker the purple, the more copper that's in it. And when the brake fluid exceeds like 100 parts per million copper, it's time to change the fluid. Some brake fluids out there in the industry actually turn green as they age. They'll turn green, then they'll turn brown, then they'll turn black. And the reason they turn... So does Jeff. Well, think about it. What color does copper turn when it corrodes?
Green.
So you can see that green in the brake fluid as the brake fluid ages. So if you're going, driving a vehicle for a long period of time, you definitely want to service the brake fluid at a regular interval. Depending on who the manufacturer is how often you're going to change the brake fluid. There's some manufacturers that tell you to change the brake fluid every 20,000 miles.
Oh my God!
Every 3 years.
Really?
Every 2. Oh yeah. Nissan and Mercedes are every 20,000 miles. Honda is every 3 years for the first fluid change, and then every 2 years for each fluid change after that. The Europeans tend to be every 2 years. The domestics tend to be every 3 years. So getting all that old contaminated fluid out is very, very important. Fill it with fresh, new fortified fluid for the longevity of your brake system is pretty important, because you got to remember, as it's leaching that copper out of the system, that's how you can measure the corrosiveness of the fluid. So get your brake fluid checked, and if you haven't changed it in 3 years, find your service center and ask them to change the brake fluid.
The brake fluid, that's the pedal on the left, right?
That's the pedal in the middle. Right. If you drive a shifter car.
There you go.
Don drives a shifter car.
A shifty car. Some of the news making headlines this week. The president, Mr. Biden, on Monday vowed to replace the U.S. government's fleet of roughly 650,000 vehicles with electric models as the new administration shifts its focus towards green energy. Biden criticized existing rules that allow vehicles to be considered U.S.-made when purchased by the U.S. government, even if they have significant non-American-made components. Biden said he would close loopholes that allow parts like engines, steel, and glass to be manufactured abroad for vehicles considered U.S.-made.
Good luck with that, Bubba.
And right behind that, I put this story. Ford Motor Company said Thursday it will build the new Mustang Mach-E electric crossover at a joint venture with Chang'an Motor Company, with sales in China beginning later this year.
Hunter's invested in them. Sorry.
Hunter Biden. Ford began building the Mustang Mach-E in Mexico last year with the first production limit of 50,000 units. And you hear that, Joe? You might want to talk to Henry.
And they're going to sell a special Starbucks version. It's going to be that light brown color. Call it the Mocha Mach-E Auto.
Oh, God.
And they need to make the Beast all electric.
The Beast all electric.
Yeah, the big presidential limo. They need to make that electric if he's going to really hold to it.
Yeah, there's some discussion on that.
Well, considering
who's discussing it?
Considering
different journalists trying to figure out, is that really possible because of the weight of it and
Oh, that's possible, but it's only going to get 5 miles before they have to recharge it again. Yeah, either that or tow behind it a big diesel generator.
Talk about anxiety.
There you go. General Motors plans to stop selling gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035 as it works toward a goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2040. Will I be alive? No. Well, GM's commitment to carbon neutrality follows promises from other automakers, including Ford, Volvo, and Nissan. GM's goal is a decade ahead of the targets Ford and Nissan have set, but in line with Volvo's. Nobody really knows. Because the one thing that's missing in this story is
batteries that last a long time.
Well, that and the fact that we don't know. People we do know aren't into electric cars today. Maybe that's going to change.
And you have to listen to what they're saying. They're going to be carbon neutral. That doesn't mean they're going to be totally green. It just means they're going to be balancing.
General Motors says they are going to be fully electric by 35, which means no gas, no diesel.
No oil.
Good luck with that.
Good luck.
Yep. Okay.
All right. That's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hour number 3 starts in just a little bit.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. And welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Show, your go-to everything, all things automotive car talk show. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday. Coming up this hour, if I can get all these pages out of the way, we're going to have the 2021 review of the Dodge Durango Hellcat. A look at our weekly events calendar, and we'll have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin right off camera over there, Don Armstrong. The only reason Jeff's off camera, because we don't have enough room in the studio here to seat Jeff. There's Jeff. And you know what? Everybody wants more Jeff.
They do.
There he is.
And here I am.
I know.
For the rest of the show, just like this.
Just like that. That's perfect.
There you
go. Okay.
Looking up your nose.
Well, there is that. So he did that. I had nothing to do with that. At any rate, we're glad that you could join us on this Saturday on the In Wheel Time Car Show. We're going to talk about books. Now, I know this isn't racing.
And not all of us can read.
Yeah, especially at my age. Look at the glasses that I got now. They're Coke bottle bottoms, but whatever. It works for me.
Are those trifocals?
They're not.
Bifocals?
No. Those are readers from readers.com.
Okay.
That's all they are.
These are readers from the dollar store.
Yeah. Well, I used to do the dollar store readers, but the problem with those is they don't last very long for me.
That's why you buy a bunch of them.
Well, did the prescriptions run out or something? Or you?
No, the number just doesn't go high enough for Don right now.
It never has.
That's when you wear 2 pair.
It melt away.
On the line with us is Mr. Ken McGee, and he is here to talk to us today about automotive books. And we'll get to that in just a moment. Ken, how are you? It's good to talk to you. How are you?
Ken?
Hello, Ken.
Hello.
Okay.
Ken.
Well, there goes that interview. But thank you, Ken, for participating. We'll figure it out and maybe be able to get back to you here in a little while. But in the meantime and in between time, I did want to tell you about an automotive recall, and that's the 350,000 Pathfinders over the brake light switch defect. Now, this is the second time that this has happened. They're recalling more than 350 Pathfinder midsize crossovers globally over a defect with the brake light switch that could cause brake lights to remain illuminated even when the brakes are not applied. The latest recall, which affects certain 2013 to 15 Pathfinders, provides a new remedy to previously recalled Pathfinders from 2013 to 2014 model years.
So they're recalling the recall.
They're recalling the recall because they didn't fix it right.
Like
the driver,
the Takata airbags.
The driver also may be able to shift the vehicle out of park or start the engine without depressing the brake pedal, potentially increasing the risk of a crash or rollaway. Okay.
Interesting. So, you know, you remember General Motors a few years ago had the power steering and ignition switch recall?
Yes.
On all of the, I mean, hundreds of.
Was it the Cobalt?
About
was it Cobalt?
Yeah, Cobalt. There was a bunch of Pontiac and Oldsmobile and Saturn products. 800,000 vehicles. So General Motors has agreed to pay out on that in a class action settlement, and they're going to pay out $121 million.
Which is nothing.
Well, it's $35 million to the attorneys, and each consumer will get about $110. Thank you very much. Class action lawsuits do nothing but make attorneys rich. I mean, my personal opinion.
I agree.
I've seen class action lawsuits through the years, and you know, any of those people who had one of those vehicles and that system failed easily spent $1,000 to fix it.
We're going to take a bar exam tonight, as a matter of fact.
So we can get in on some of that money.
Not that kind of bar, though.
Not that kind of bar.
Oh, okay. A different kind of bar. Oh, went right past me.
I know
I'm sorry, went right past me.
Very unusual.
Boy, I had a dull moment there.
Squirrel.
It's okay. You know, you have family in California. You know people in Colorado, and that went over your head.
Yes. But, you know, when you do the math on some of these big lawsuits that happen, do the math all the way and figure out, they're getting $121 million, but virtually the customers are getting nothing.
Right.
You know, and then that
plus, you don't rule out the fact of the pain in the butt factor for the people that own the car, because now you got to take the car in again and get it fixed, which will keep you out of the car for 2-3 days.
Oh, easily.
And then get it fixed, and boy, for all that time and trouble, you're going to pay me $110,
right?
I don't.
The technicians are making more money on it for the repairs.
Not really.
Well,
not really.
They're getting a warranty on it.
I understand, but you know, when it comes to that kind of, he'll tell you. Yeah. When it comes to that kind of warranty work, mechanic doesn't make anything.
Well,
off
you
of that.
do enough of them at a time. I mean,
yes and no. I mean, ultimately, that when they come to a recall, they've trimmed all of the profit out of it for both the dealership and for the technician. So, you know, technicians work on productivity. They get paid X amount of time to do a job. Whether it if they get paid an hour to do a job and they can do it in a half hour, they're being productive. If they get paid an hour to do a job and it takes them 3 hours, then they're losing money.
Right.
So usually in the recall world, GM has kind of trimmed it down as tight as they can. So if they pay a half hour, it takes a half hour to do, or might take a little bit more than 30 minutes to do, and that's kind of natural in the world of things.
I have to ask, and you would probably know. I don't know the answer to this, but I guess what it is curious to me, when they supply the suppliers with the actual facts of what it is that they want, with the drawings, and this is all the stuff that we want you to make a brake pedal. Mm-hmm. We want this design.
Yeah, the vendors, right?
Mm-hmm. Do they, once they make the part for them, do they go through a process that says, okay, this will work? No, that won't work.
Oh, they go through pretty heavy validation.
Yeah, R&D.
Yeah, the R&D is the stuff as they give the vendor the specs that they want the vendor to meet. And then the vendor produces X number of parts. And now this is years before the vehicle goes out into production. Then the vendor gives the parts to whoever the manufacturer is, and it goes through a validation process, which is basically, to a large degree, a bench test. Because they might not have the total vehicle finished to put it in a vehicle.
Right.
So it goes through a bench test, and if it passes the bench test, whoever the manufacturer is says, well, I need 600,000 of these. The vendor gears up and builds all their tooling to produce it.
And that's why the same thing with tire manufacturers, when they have multiple manufacturers on one vehicle, like a Mustang or a
pickup
SUV,
truck,
right? Pickup
which
truck,
is very common.
You have different manufacturers because of the recall aspect of that,
right.
the DOT requirements.
Yep.
And when I was with Pirelli for many years, they actually had a tire dyno.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They would put a tire on there and actually intently destroy it.
Because it had to meet certain specs.
Right.
So as these vendors produce these parts, these components to meet those specs, the spec is met basically on a bench. And then once they put them in the car and you insert all of these other influences and they begin building the car, now things go wrong, and that can lead to a lot of recalls.
Let me ask you this. Does the company that makes the part, which is not the car manufacturer, the company that makes the part, do they not have something in a clause in some sort of a legal document that says, hey, look, if you screw up, you're paying for it, not us?
Yeah. There's I'll call it, in my world, when I was working at General Motors, this is a chargeback
Mm-hmm.
to the vendor, which is why Takata has gone through Chapter 11. Chapter 7, I can't remember which, but Takata has gone through.
Chapter 11 is where they repay the debt. Chapter 7 is where you're done.
I'm glad you know the difference. I don't. Well, Takata has gone through some kind of bankruptcy,
right?
But they're
Probably
still
11.
in business, and there is a chargeback to those vendors on the recalls as well, which is why a lot of times the vendors are pretty heavily involved in the resolution to the recall.
To Don's point with the vendor or the manufacturer of the part, where you see a lot of that is in racing, where they'll have a drivetrain that goes bad, or of lifters or valves or springs that continually go bad, and the answer is, well, our supplier is the bad guy in this. But you see a lot of that in racing.
And, well, it is in manufacturing as well, because they don't manufacture, I'll say, a valve spring. That's bought from
another
Iski or whoever else makes them.
Yeah.
And the spec is given to that manufacturer that says, look, I need this spring to sit this tall, need to have this much tension when it's compressed. It needs to be a multi-level spring. It needs to be able to hold its durability at X RPM for X amount of time. They take it, they bench test it, and it works. And then you put it in a car and it breaks.
And then you call it,
and then
you call it Takata after that.
Well, you fix it under warranty, and if they can at just fixing it under warranty, there isn't always necessarily a chargeback to the vendor on that, but there can be in certain instances. So the vendors are held financially accountable for defective work, but ultimately the buyer holds the manufacturer of the vehicle accountable for it, because they don't realize that Takata was making the airbags.
Well, it's the end liability is what it is.
Right. So they just see, I bought this vehicle and I've had the airbag recalled now 3 times. The same airbag's been recalled 3 times. Well, there must be something wrong with that manufacturer's vehicle when the problem is coming from the vendor that's giving that manufacturer a pretty bad name in the marketplace, and the vendor charges the manufacturer charges the vendor back for that. But the problem, the damage done to the brand is pretty monumental in some instances.
Well, let's see. I'm the manufacturer. I'm Chevrolet. I bought all these Takata airbags. Now I got to have them recalled. Mm-hmm. How many customers have I lost as a Chevrolet dealer? Mm-hmm. Because they're never going to buy this because we've recalled it 3 times, and it's all on you. So everybody's a loser in this.
But there's a bigger picture with all the manufacturers, not just General Motors.
Well, but in Takata there is, because Takata was such a wide vendor. Takata provided airbags to probably 80-85% of the industry.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So you can't really fault one car manufacturer.
No, you can't.
You can't, because you understand the Takata vendor piece,
right.
But some people don't.
I don't understand why then all of these manufacturers put all of this money into one supplier.
One vendor, right.
Because that way you've got all Takata airbags through pretty much all of your vehicles that you manufacture. How many customers did it cost let's say Chevrolet to go through this BS with Takata?
Not only that, but the injuries and the deaths too.
All of it.
Yeah, and it also had the same impact on the Hondas, on the Toyotas and on the Nissans. And, you know, everybody's been impacted from it. And with the Takata thing, maybe it's so broad that, you know, they're moving around, but everybody's on the move because their opinion is, I'm recalled 3 times for the same thing. And I say that because the recall you just talked about was a recall of a recall, which generally meant that the vendor was involved in resolving the recall. And that's why sometimes when a recall is announced, it's announced before the parts are available. So, you know, you get the recall notice at home and they say, we'll contact you when the parts are available. That's because they've identified the problem, but they haven't identified the permanent correction.
Right.
Or they don't have it manufactured.
Or they don't have the part manufactured for the permanent correction, which is where Takata comes in. You know, because the Takata airbag, they knew the problem was corrosion in the airbag module itself, but they didn't have a resolution to it. So the first 2 recalls, you were just putting back in the same thing you were taking out, just the new one wasn't rusted, but it was going to rust over time.
Right.
Based in whatever your environment
And originally, when you said you just brought it up with the rust or the corrosion, it was only in certain states they were finding this, and then it blossomed and blew up into everywhere.
Yeah, because it was originally in the Gulf Coast area.
Well, Arizona, the
Arizona wasn't involved. Colorado
right.
wasn't involved because they didn't have the humidity issues. So, you know, and then, you know, anything on corrosion, certain parts of the country aren't going to experience it like others early on, but they're going to experience it. So that's why Takata airbags went
bust.
Basically worldwide, because they were such a huge vendor of airbags to Europeans, Koreans, American,
everybody used them.
and Asian cars. Everybody used them. Because they could produce, you know,
they could produce it at a much lower cost because of the volume.
Of scale.
It's low bidder. You know, you got low bidder is who's putting airbags in your car. You got low bidder who's putting brakes on your car as well. You know, it's kind of scary to think, especially after what I just talked about on brake fluid and stuff. You know, but that's the nature of the business. You know, so yeah. Airbags.
Well, I'm all for making money, but however, when it comes to things that are really, really important, things like airbags that blow up in your face for no reason at all, let's spend another 10 cents and get one that doesn't blow up, because that's probably what it all boils down to.
And you'd be surprised. Well, you'd be real surprised at how little the cost is to make those adjustments in something. But when you're building, you know, 30 million components, if I can save 10 cents a component, I've saved $3 million. You know, and
you don't have a microphone on, Mike.
And it adds up pretty quick. Well, what Mike was saying is it gets down to the pennies, and he's right. It does get down to the pennies as a cost of scale. It is, you know, they do things to save a cent here and a cent there, and it costs a lot of money to fix when they don't do it right.
It's the bottom line is you get what you pay for.
Well, okay, so with that in mind, let's just take, for instance, a performance car. Let's take a Chevrolet Camaro, okay? And let's take a ZR1, ZL1?
ZL1 with a supercharger.
Right. So it's got upgraded brakes, upgraded suspension. Well, Chevrolet put that on there at an extra cost to Chevrolet. Mm-hmm. But they pass it on to you because they're going to.
Yes. Yeah, they do. That's the option cost.
Right. So why not just raise the price of the cars across the board to put those on there? Because if you're going to buy a Camaro, you want to have the performance, not the 6-cylinder. I got that. But if I'm going to buy a Z28, a V8, anything, aren't I going to want to have the brake upgrade and the other stuff that goes along with it?
And most of that they package together, that there is a cost increase to it. You know, look at some of the cars you review. You know, your base price is $25,000. My price is tested is $42,000. So all of those upgrades in content and package optioning are there, but still there is somebody trying to save a penny along the way, because every penny they can save,
you make
is
a million.
profit.
Yeah, you make a million cars. Well, one penny adds up to be a lot.
So, and when that decision involves safety and quality, that's what damages the brand image quickly. And if you look at it over time, those brand images have been damaged on certain manufacturers over time. You're going to say, hey, you know, we've been building a good car and then we make a mistake and we go down, then we come back. It's the manufacturers that continuously stay relatively high in their build quality that are the growing manufacturers. So, you know, and that changes from year to year. You know, everybody has their experience. Every manufacturer has their experience with recalls. And we've been talking about that here lately, is the volume of recalls. You know, whoever it is recalled, you know, 300,000, 400,000 vehicles. The question is, how does that recall impact the brand loyal customer of that manufacturer, or does it not? And in some instances it doesn't, because their brand loyalty is stronger than their negative view of having a recall on their vehicle. I know that sounds kind of weird, but some of the Asian import brand loyalty is sky high, and European import brand
still here in the
loyalty
United
is sky
States.
high.
How about the Ford F-150? I think is pretty much the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great example from an American car.
Right.
Because, you know, when it comes down to it, and Mike and I have driven all of the trucks that there are to drive, all of them that are currently manufactured. And to me personally, and I really don't have a brand loyalty. If it were anything, it would have been a Chevrolet back in the day. Not anymore, especially now that I drive all these cars all the time. But I will say that, and I was never a huge Dodge truck fan, but in current day, the Ram brand, it tops them all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, same thing. I've had Fords. I was real partial to Chevrolet, particularly when my best buddy was the service manager, and my son worked at the Chevrolet dealership.
Yeah.
Service was great.
Yeah. Well,
George came on and said that Takata actually did file Chapter 11, and they're selling their assets to somebody else in Japan. Thanks, George. I appreciate that.
Don't buy the assets because they'll blow up before you get them.
Oh, they'll rust.
I was always a GM fan, or a GM brand loyal, because my dad was with General Motors.
Sure.
So I think the last one I had.
That's how they build those brands.
The last one I got was from Richardson Chevrolet, as a matter of fact.
No, good to know.
Buffed little pinstripe lines in the edges of the paint, right?
Well, I'll tell you. So my cousin Steve up in Wisconsin, you guys know him. He had a ginormous, like 40-foot trailer that he towed around. It was a fifth wheel. And he had a Chevrolet Silverado 3/4 ton, single wheels in the rear. Okay. And he drove it, I don't know, it was out of warranty, 50,000 miles or something on it. The turbocharger went out. And he'd had trouble with it before. And somehow, some way, they were able to fix it. The last time, they had to take the cab off because the turbocharger.
Duramax. Yeah.
Because the turbocharger is underneath the cab, so they had to lift the cab off. Took him 2 weeks on the road with the fifth wheel behind him.
Oh, gosh.
He was ticked, and I'm saying that nicely.
Ford has the same thing.
And that was the end of the Chevrolet brand for him.
It's neat when you walk to the shop and you see the
cabs are up here, and you got the technicians basically rodeoing the engine and transmission, because he's got one leg on each side of it while he's sitting on it and working on it.
So the brand loyalty went out the window. He's back in a Ford now.
Yeah, I used to walk through the shop, and it would be like that, and the technicians crawling around. I need to drive that at 4 o'clock for a test.
Well, they actually have jumper harnesses that you can jump the cab down to the chassis, even though the cab's up in the air, so you can lower the cab enough to get in and start doing stuff to make sure that everything you're plugging in is working.
All right. Well, that was a good discussion. 10:21. I shouldn't even say that. I don't know why. That's an old disc jockey thing coming out. But it's time now, which is what I'm kind of getting to. It's time for this hour's car review, which is a 2021 Dodge Durango. And Mr. Mars has that.
Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat.
Oh, gosh. Why do they give you Hellcats? They should learn from that.
I love it.
He should say, I'm sorry, I can't, because I've got too many tickets and my driver's license has been suspended.
No, he just sits there with a smile on his face.
You're right.
Says, do you have the red key fob?
And guess what's coming next week? And guess what's coming the week after that?
Oh, no.
No.
So we're talking about today, we're talking about the 2021 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. Now, this right now is the only year they're going to make it. This is a one-year deal that they're putting all this together.
That's a shame. That's
gorgeous.
And if you look at it, it looks like a full-size SUV.
Looks like a Shelby.
It's actually smaller.
No.
It's in fact, FCA prefers to call it a mid-size, which if you look at their lineup, it should be full-size. But either way, so you're talking about a mid-size SUV that has the Hellcat engine in it. So actually, you can get the Durango in 5 trim levels. This is the 3rd gen, but this thing's been around since 2011. They just keep tweaking it and making things a little bit better. So for this year, for the SRT model, they got a new front fascia. It's been kind of redesigned, give it a little more aggressive look to it. It's got the long body lines that come and raise up into the rear fender lines.
The Hellcat hood.
And the Hellcat hood, and it's all done. But if you look at it, if there's a red one out there, I don't know why I didn't grab that picture instead of this one. But if you look at it, to me, that profile, the lines on it remind me of the Dodge Magnum RT from the profile look at it from the back.
Cool car.
And I just really like the way that it looks. So it does have the sculpted hood, the Hellcat hood. It's got the functional hood scoops with the heat extractors, the air intake. I think it's like 60% of the air for the supercharger comes in through that air intake. So it's all very functional. It's got full LED lighting system, including the racetrack outline on the rear of it that some of the Dodge products have become known for.
That's a good-looking truck.
Got a full power lift gate on it. It's got the big red Brembo brakes so that it can stop this thing because it's rolling on some 20 by 10 wheels that are wrapped with some Pirelli rubber
20
on
by 10?
20 by 10.
Now, well, in the rear, are they staggered fit, or is that all the way around?
2010's all the way
all
around.
The way around.
Wow.
Pirelli rubber.
That's a road course truck there.
Yes, sir, and it'll hook them up. And if you get to the inside of it, again, this is the 3rd gen, and it's been around now, I guess, typically for 10 years, which is kind of long for a model, but it's serving its purpose quite well. So for the SRT, it's got 2x2x2 seating. It's a 6-passenger, but it's 2, and then the 2 in the middle, and then the 3rd row. So it's got performance leather, and it's got suede inserts, and we had the optional suede headliner on the vehicle that we were driving. And it comes with a big 10.5-inch screen there in the center stack, and that's where you're going to find the new Uconnect 5. That's going to give you screen access to everything, all the convenient controls. And for this year, they've kind of cocked it a little bit more towards the driver. It kind of cuts down on some of the glare, makes it a little bit easier to see whenever you're over there looking for your Apple CarPlay or the Android. Or you can go in and go to the SRT performance pages just like you can on any of the Hellcat vehicles. And that's where you get in and do all your settings for the steering and the suspension, the strip performance and all that stuff. And then the interior, we had the black with the big heavy stitching, but it's got a lot of carbon fiber accents that runs all throughout it. Now, if you really want to know, behind the 3rd row, you can put 17.2 cubic feet of cargo, fold it down, get to 43. Fold the 2nd row down, you get 85. But the interesting thing is that the front passenger seat will fold down flat, so you've got a long straightaway there to put some stuff. Now, this is where the meat comes in. Under the hood, we're talking about the 6.2
Did
liters.
he say the meat?
He said the meat.
Yeah, the meat of the
700 horsepower.
And it ain't no
710 horsepower.
That ain't baloney.
And it is the most powerful SUV currently on the market. 710 horsepower, 640 pound-feet is torque, and it's backed by an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, the Durango itself, properly equipped, you can tow 8,700 pounds on it. This particular one, I think it's limited to 7,000. The EPA says you should be looking for around 12 miles per gallon. Highway 15 combined, you get 13. And what I really liked about driving this
vehicle. Are you
vehicle,
trying to sweep that under the rug?
Yeah,
and what did you get?
If you're worried about fuel economy, you don't be looking at this vehicle.
Yeah, what did you get, Mars?
Well,
You're not going to tell us.
I got 12. Okay,
and 3 tickets.
Those don't count. So
how many tickets have you gotten in the last 9 months?
None.
Now, Mars.
I'm not lying.
Let's
Knock
go
on
10
wood.
months.
Where's the wood? But on this particular vehicle, what's really cool about it is, I mean, this is a muscle car, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
A muscle SUV, because 0 to 60, it says it'll do it in 3.5 seconds with a top speed of 180 miles per hour and an NHRA
quarter
measured quarter mile of 11.5 seconds.
And did you mess with the performance pages to find out if all of that was
I had
true?
to see if they were all there, if they were the same in all the vehicles, because now we've got this little run of Hellcats.
No, I don't know why. Well, I don't even know why you're on this show. You're such a liar.
So the other great thing about this is that it has a dedicated sports tuned suspension that goes with this vehicle. So whenever you go through the pages, you can all set all that stuff up. But if you get out on the highway and you put it in what you would consider eco in most vehicles, it actually has a very compliant, very firm, but a compliant ride out on the highway, because you're talking about some 20 by 10 inch wheels to put lots of rubber down there.
Does it have launch command?
It has launch control. It has everything.
Ain't nothing eco about launch control.
And I will tell you that when you buy this vehicle, you do get a day of buyers receive a day tuition in performance driving school to help you drive this vehicle.
Wow.
Now, if you want to compare this to something, this got into be a little complicated, because you look at the midsize SUVs, you're talking Highlander, Honda Pilot, Mazda CX-9, there's no comparison with what you're talking about. So you have to step over, maybe look at the Jeep Trackhawk, which is going to start at about $86,000, or maybe a BMW X3M at about $70,000, or you can really step out there to the AMG GLC 63S that I think Don had once upon a time, that's up over 100. So if you really get into that, now
don't be making fun of my car now.
No, I'm just using it to level set on where this is at. So if you're looking for a 2021 Dodge Durango XXT, the V6, bottom line, get into it. Nice family little vehicle, $31,765. But step up to the 2021 Durango SRT Hellcat all-wheel drive, base price, $80,995. However, we had a couple of options.
We need to go.
MSRP $90,315 on the road for hooking them for an SRT hot rod SUV.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, it is.
And that's today's car presentation by Mr. Mike Mars, who's a little wordy.
Our own Hellcat.
And I just enjoy these things. I got two more coming. So
the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon, and Podcast Addict. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting.
This is the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeffrey Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. And we have one of our favorite fans, one of our favorite go-to people, Mr. Andy Lilienthal. And are you, look at you today, looking all sharp and everything with the blue glasses. I like it. And not only that, but you're also, looks like you're indoors today.
Today I am indoors. It is a soggy, cold, nasty morning outside here in the Pacific Northwest. So
good for you.
Decided to go with the virtual background.
So today. It's a normal day up there.
Yes, we call this Saturday. Yes.
Well, Andy, it's good to see you. Where's your lovely wife?
She is in the other room having her morning coffee.
Okay, good. Well, we're sorry that we're only seeing you. Give her our best. And we're going to talk to you today because, you know, Andy does his own thing when it comes to off-roading. And just to kind of give it a little bump in here, Andy, just to let everybody know that you're a little bit off the wall when it comes to your kind of off-roading in the vehicle you use, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, maybe. In fact, the vehicle behind me here is my vehicle. So that is a 1992 Mitsubishi Pajero. It's a little turbo diesel SUV. This one was actually part of a photo shoot, part of the catalog for my day job at Warren Industries.
Do you work for Warren Industries?
I do.
Oh, my God. I had no clue. Well, no wonder you're an off-road geek. We love it. Absolutely. Well, I have to tell you that I have never really been a true off-roader. I appreciate the whole sport of it and love to go. I've been on several adventures that Jeep was kind enough to invite me to, and went to some really neat places high up on the mountains and did all of that and learned quite a bit from some of the people that were there that were true professionals. And I have always heard about Warren. And mainly the winches, because apparently they are like the standard, the go-to place. Certainly not the cheapest on earth, but they hold up and they do a fine job.
Yeah, we were actually the company that pioneered the electric vehicle-mounted winch in 1948. So we have been in business since then. We actually came out with the winches in the late 50s, 1959. We came out with our first vehicle-mounted winch. It was a 6,000-pound capacity unit. Our history goes back to World War II Jeeps, when those Jeeps were coming back from the war. They were being sold to civilians. Well, they were completely locked for four-wheel drive, and they didn't drive the best. But we came out with our hubs, our wheel hubs, that allowed you basically to disconnect the four-wheel drive system from fully locked to make them a little more drivable, get a little bit better fuel economy. And then about 9-10 years later, we came out with the electric vehicle winch. And before then, everything was power takeoff, or PTO. So it was driven off the Jeep's motor, or engine, I should say. And the problem with that is if any of you have ever driven off-road or gotten a carbureted vehicle on a real steep angle, it'll get fuel starvation. So if you're in a real tricky predicament in a Jeep and you can't start your engine, well, you also can't run your winch. So part of the selling point to the electric winch was, doesn't matter what kind of terrain you're in, as long as you've got a battery, you have the ability to recover yourself.
How fascinating. I had no clue, and I certainly had no clue that you guys did the locking and unlocking wheel hubs too.
Yep, that was our invention back in the 1940s.
Do you still sell those?
Absolutely, yep. So not only do we sell them for aftermarket use, we have our premium and standard hubs. So like if you've got a Jeep CJ or an older Toyota or something like that, we definitely still make those. Even Ford Super Duties, right? We have our line of Super Duty hubs. But for years and years, and actually our sort of our cousin company still has OE contracts making the hubs for Ford. So without getting too far into the details, our companies, we were one company, we divided into two. So one side still does all the winches and all the aftermarket accessories and some OE applications. And then the other side of the business went off and does nothing but powertrain. That's called Warren Automotive. That's now a separate company from Warren Industries. But we still have lots of OE business. We make winches for Chrysler. I guess nowadays, Cerebras, I can't remember how you say it.
Stellantis, Cerebras, Stellantis, Andy.
Sounds cerebral.
Stellantis.
Sounds cerebral.
And then, of course, Ford Motor Company. We also have OE stuff with a few other companies out there, Land Rover and some others. But so we make a whole host of products. We're probably best known for our winches and hubs, but we've been making bumpers for about 40 years, and we even have all these brand new innovations. One is called the Hub Receiver and App, and what that is it's actually a way you can control that winch right here using your smartphone. So we have an app. It doesn't show up, but smartphone. So you download the app. You buy our remote that plugs into the winch, and you can actually control your winch with the Bluetooth connection on your smartphone.
So you don't have to have a wire going from the remote control back to the truck anymore.
That's exactly right. So
So when you're out there in 4 feet of mud trying to get your Jeep out of it, you can drop your phone in it, and then you'll never get out.
That's exactly right. And we're also partnering with Apple and Samsung. No, I'm just kidding. So, well, here's the deal, right? We hear that a lot. But I'll tell you what. Our corded remotes have a 12-foot lead. Okay, so you have 12 feet to go around the vehicle when you're trying to use that winch. That hub gives you a 100-foot range. So you can be in the truck, you can be behind the truck, you can be way out of the mud, and still have that ability to use the winch. And I will say this: you don't have to use it as the primary. So let's say you're out on the trail and you forgot your remote at home, or let's say you did drop your primary corded remote in the mud and you can't find it. Well, as long as you've got your smartphone, and let's face it, who doesn't have their smartphone on them all the time? Then you'll have at least a backup winch control.
Might be the reason you're stuck in the mud, because you were staring at your phone and not where you were driving.
There you go.
Yeah, eyes on the road, hands on the wheels, right?
So with Warn winches, you guys actually make winches that are customizable to the brand. It's not like you have to buy a bumper that fits the winch. You guys have winches that fit the existing vehicle line, correct?
And they also make a bumper.
Right.
Yeah, so the way it works is our winches, our aftermarket winches are universal. So it depends on the bumper that you do choose. So that being said, we also do make, for instance, on the Jeep Wranglers and the Jeep Gladiators, if you get the factory OE steel bumper, you simply get our plate and you can bolt a winch into that factory bumper. We also manufacture the winch for the Dodge Power Wagon. We manufacture a winch for the Ford Super Duty with the Tremor package. So there are some OE components, sort of like Dana Axles, right? They supply Jeep. Well, we supply some companies directly too. But with regards to bumpers, we've actually made bumpers for about 40 years. But we've been increasing our bumper lineup more and more recently. So whether you have a Jeep, a full-size truck, a mid-size truck, we have a whole host of different applications that allow you to mount a winch. And in fact, we actually just came out with some off-road bumpers that have that one-piece welded design but don't take a winch. We found there's people who don't use a winch or don't need a winch, but they still want that off-road bumper for the extra frontal protection and the aggressive style too.
Well, yeah, because I was going to say, because that really makes your Jeep or whatever vehicle you're driving more custom, just for you, whether you have a winch on the front of it. I wanted to ask you, what is the largest winch that can pull the most that you offer?
So we actually make winches ranging from 500 pounds all the way up to 30,000 pounds.
Holy
yeah, so that 30,000 pound winch is a behemoth. It's called our Series 30XL. It's a hydraulic winch. It's oftentimes used in the on a trailer to load, say, like a military vehicle or heavy construction equipment or something like that. It's a real specialized unit. It's an absolute beast. The thing weighs like 500 pounds. It's incredible. But Warren has contracts with military, so we supply them, and they'll use it on some of their big vehicles. Some of the like the LMTV and some of that stuff. But that's the biggest one. Our truck winches, which we sometimes call RV winches, recreational vehicle winches, those range from 8,000 pounds to 16,500 pounds. So you've got your big F350 with big 40-inch tires on it and a lift kit and all that stuff, and you're slogging through the mud. You're going to want something that can pull out that truck. And we have a real easy formula to describe or to help you choose a winch. And all you do is you take the vehicle's gross vehicle weight rating, so you can usually find that in the door jamb or in the owner's manual. You multiply that by 1.5, that'll get you your minimum pulling capacity. So if you've got a Jeep and it has a 5,000 or 5,500 pound capacity, you're looking just under 10,000 pounds. So you want to bump up to, say, a 10,000 pound winch for your pulling capacity.
So as Warren has some OE connections, you're talking about the other side of Warren. How is Warren integrating into the EV platforms?
Great question. It is definitely something we're aware of and something that we've been researching and looking at. We're going to be prepared when those vehicles start hitting the trail. You know, right now we do see things like Rivian's coming out with stuff. We've got the Jeep with the hybrid powertrain. And a whole bunch of even the Cybertruck, right, from Tesla. So when those things are,
and the new Hummer is not too far away,
right? Absolutely. And so when those vehicles come out, we're going to make sure that we're ready to go. That we're not scratching our head going, "Now what?"
So you guys do have that. You're in the door of the OE to see how you're going to be able to integrate.
Our partnerships with OEs do allow us,
good.
you know.
Yeah,
access to engineers and such. Yeah,
because I was kind of interested in how much draw your winch is going to have when you're off-road with an EV and you have range anxiety, how much that range anxiety accelerates if you got to winch your butt out of the mud.
Right, and our winches, any vehicle winch is going to have a high initial amp draw. Right. Actually, a high amp draw in general, just because it's a big electric motor, it's pulling big power from the batteries, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely something where our test lab and engineers and whatnot will be working on.
Now, do you actually build the winches and all these components there at your office?
So we have 400,000 square feet of manufacturing in Clackamas, Oregon. So we build a whole host of things there. So winches, bumpers, so on and so forth. All of our winches, with the exception of our VR Evo lineup, which is our standard duty kind of entry level, still a great little winch. All of the winches have a final point of assembly of the United States. So we build some components in-house. Raw steel comes in, finished goods come out. Some of the parts we do source, much like an automobile, right? So you get you buy your Jeep and it's 75% American components. It's the same kind of deal with the Warn winches, where we get parts from all over the world. We're not winding our own motor armatures and whatnot in-house. It's just not something you can do. So we are cutting gears. You come to Warn Industries facilities, you'll see us getting big lengths of 6-foot long lengths of steel rod that we're cutting and shaping gears for our winches and the drive shafts and the winches. Our bumpers and mounting systems, raw steel comes in, finished bumper comes out. So we're building those in the United States. We have top quality welders, absolutely fantastic state-of-the-art powder coating in-house, stands up to 408-hour salt spray tests, all that stuff. So we're employing a lot of American workers, and we are definitely the most American of the winch companies.
So on top of that, does Warn offer end-user education? Because using a winch sounds easy enough, but boy, you better know what you're doing, because you can hurt yourself or tear something up if you don't.
Real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a thirst for knowledge out there, especially with the popularity of the Jeeps, the truck market, the whole off-roading, overlanding scene that's out there. People are really getting into this. And I can't tell you how many people come up to me, by the way, and say, listen, I've got your winch. I hope I never have to use it. And I always tell people, like, make sure you know how to use it when you need to know how to use it.
That's what I was going to say.
So with regards to your question, we do occasionally put on winching clinics or winching demonstrations at shows and events. I actually will be headed to the Oregon coast in February to teach a local four-wheel drive club a winching basics class. So that's something we do several times a year. I do a lot of them. Get out there and we start simple. Here's a winch. Here are the components. And then we'll go into the basics. Here's a single line pull. So a single line pull is going to be from just pulling the line out, rigging it up to an anchor point and pulling. And then you have more complex things, double line pulls and triple line pulls and angled direction changes and so on and so forth, using a lot of our rigging accessories, things like snatch blocks, which is like a pulley block, or different kinds of shackles and straps and so on and so forth. So it's something I always tell people: if you're going to get a winch, make sure you know how to use it. Take it out, read the instruction manual, watch some videos. We've got a great video library on our Warn YouTube channel. That was kind of where I was going. Is you have customers and everybody has access to YouTube, and you guys do have a channel to show people how to do a lot of this stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's not like getting your hands on it. A couple of years ago, under supervision, I got to winch a power wagon up a hill. And I've winched on boats. I can run a winch, but actually to tie it up and pull a power wagon up with a winch, I mean, that was a different ball game trying to figure out how it was going to, the angles going up the rocks. You have to take all that. I mean, it was just a total different ball game. And fortunately, I had supervision and I had somebody pointing me saying, here,
supervision on everything.
Yeah, do this before this power wagon rolls over on the back, But,
I will say that, when I first started at the company, and I mean, it was a lot of the people that work at Warren are into four-wheel drive, myself included. But I was out on a photo shoot for our catalog at the time, the 2007 catalog.
As the poster kid?
They had me driving the brand new SEMA show ready FJ Cruiser in the mud, and I was scared to death I was going to ruin it. And but they had me at this crazy angle using this winch, and I remember I was standing on the brake with 2 feet going, God, I hope this thing holds. And of course it did, and it pulled it up, lickety split. So
yeah, but it's always, until you get your hands on it, it's just not quite the same.
Yeah, everybody thinks that ought to be easy.
Yeah,
just take that cable, hook it up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, we know that is not necessarily the case from what little experience I have in it.
Well, on top of, you want to make sure that you're environmentally friendly if you're out in the woods, that you're not wrapping the cable around a tree and hooking the cable to pull. You really want to bring some soft straps to wrap around the tree to pull yourself out so you don't damage the tree. There's a lot.
That's a lot
more to it.
Plus, you don't want to rip the oil pan off.
Yeah.
Well, there is that too. That brings up a great point too. We're a board member on Tread Lightly's, the organization Tread Lightly.
Right.
We are definitely all about making sure we're not tearing up the trails or anything like that. And always use your tree strap. Don't wrap it around the tree because it'll kill the tree and not good for your winch line either.
Yeah, soft straps on your snatch block is the best. Yeah.
Different subject.
More Jeff.
We all want more Jeff. He just kind of threw that out there. We're all going, what? Sometimes Jeff's way ahead of us here, and we have to kind of play catch up. So I want to talk to you just briefly here about the automotive side of what you guys do at Warren.
Sure, in terms of like events.
No. What is it that you make?
You mentioned it split off.
Yeah, we make a whole lot of things. So winches, hubs, bumpers. But in addition to that, we have a whole line of power sports products. So we have power sports winches. We have plows for ATVs, UTVs. We have soft goods, so bags and storage equipment. We also have a whole line of industrial products, hoists and big winches like I was telling you for that trailer. The list goes on and on. So while a lot of people go, oh, yeah, Warren winches, we definitely make winches, and it's always going to be our bread and butter. But we have a whole line of all kinds of other products, utility products. We have these great little products, two of which in particular. One is called Pullzall, Pullzall. And what that is, it's an electric come-along. So if you know what a come-along is, it's a ratchet. Yeah, they're kind of a pain in the back, quite literally, after about 10 minutes. And the Pullzall allows you to lift or pull, so it's a hoist or a winch, up to 1,000 pounds. We have a corded and a cordless version. The other product that we have that came out about a year and a half ago, great product called Drill Winch. So it weighs about 14 pounds, and you take your cordless drill and you chuck it into the side of this thing, and you now have a 750-pound pulling tool. So you've got to move a pallet, a crate engine. You got to move
gear-driven.
Anything. What's that?
Gear-driven.
Gear-driven. We've got a bunch of gear reduction in there. So it doesn't matter which drill you use. If you've got a really, really fast drill, it's just going to mean the winch goes faster. But
wow.
We've got a lot of gear reduction in there. And then we also have a clutch on it. So you can turn that clutch and free spool your line out, hook it up, turn the clutch, and start pulling. It also has a load holding, or excuse me, well, it does have a load holding brake, but it also has a slipper clutch. So in other words, it's not going to allow you to overload that winch. It'll slip it so you don't grenade it.
And where can we find all these products?
So you can see them at warren.com. We have a dealer located there as well. And then lots of online retailers, lots of brick and mortar retailers as well.
Well, Andy, I tell you what, this has been a real education. You can come on and teach us anytime that you'd like. If you got something new, anything. We love talking to you, as you know, and we really appreciate the time you've taken to get up.
Because we know it's early in Oregon.
Yeah, so
it's always worth it for you guys.
Well, thank you very much, and again, it's a real pleasure. And hope that you stay safe up there. Be good. Let's stay in touch, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. I love talking to that guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, you learn something every time. His Mitsubishi Delica.
Delica, yeah.
Yeah.
The Delica.
What was the other one? The
Pajero.
Pajero. We're going to talk about Pajero coming up here before long.
Listen, I don't wear those anymore. I used to, but anyway.
Did you have feet in the drop bottom?
No, I didn't have. Well, I guess at one point in my early life I may have. I don't recall that, though.
I'm sure Skelton's going to Photoshop a picture of you with bunny feet and a drop bottom.
And my
mittens.
And your mittens.
Mm-hmm. Some of the stories making headlines this week. Cadillac dealers, Jeff, will begin preparing their facilities for electric vehicles as early as next month.
Yippee.
About a year before the Lyriq hits the market, the brand said in a letter to dealers on Wednesday, Cadillac is working with a company called ABM, a provider of electrification solutions, to assess the upgrades and costs necessary for each dealer to sell and service EVs.
I saw that Lyriq. To me, it's a sharp-looking vehicle.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And that is going to be in association with some Cadillac dealers folding and selling back their franchise to Cadillac because they don't want to make that investment.
Single franchise caddies.
Right.
Yeah. Cadillac said it has plans to have an all-electric lineup by 2030 as long as the market is ready. About a fifth of Cadillac's 882 dealerships chose to leave the brand late last year, opting to take a buyout offer rather than invest in EV infrastructure, which Cadillac expects to cost about $200,000 on average.
That's actually not a lot.
I wouldn't think that would be that big of a
I think I'd hold
pushback.
on to the brand.
No,
Yeah, I would
but think of the Don Armstrong Cadillac in
El Campo.
El Campo. Yeah, I don't sell a lot of Cadillacs there.
Well, I wouldn't think that. Well,
Yeah, but still, that's boy,
$200,000 for a little guy.
Yeah,
that's
but
a lot of
Cadillac
money.
store.
how many little guy Cadillac stores are there?
Well, you put the franchise in that small town with the little guy Cadillac
Well, that was
for a
mistake.
reason.
Yeah.
So it must have been probably inexpensive at the time.
There's not Cadillac in El Campo, but there
Well,
is.
I'm just saying,
there is
the little
Cadillac
towns.
in Victoria.
Right, there is.
Well, 882 of them said, we'll take the cash and see you later. GMC Hummer-inspired SUV will race in off-road courses around the globe this year as part of GMC's new multi-year sponsorship with Chip Ganassi Racing.
I want to see him do the Baja 1000.
Chip Ganassi Racing's electric SUV features a grille, graphics, and bodywork inspired by the Hummer EV pickup truck. It'll compete in the first Extreme E season, starting with a race in April. The Extreme E 5-race global championship event will be held in Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Greenland, Brazil, and Argentina.
Boy, talk about an expensive series.
And you know if
That's as
Ganassi's
bad
in
as F1.
if you know if Ganassi's in it, Penske's probably in it too.
The Extreme E races were designed in part to promote EV adoption, according to the state.
Well, they've had Formula E for a number of years now, where it's basically a Formula One car, and now they actually, in the middle of the race, their pit stop is changing cars.
Right.
So they have full charge batteries.
Carlos Ghosn, or Ghosn, or however you want to pronounce his last name.
It's still in his hidey hole.
He's in his hidey hole, and his last name is spelled Ghosn. I call it Ghosn. If I'm wrong, I don't care.
Any relation to Frank?
No, you're thinking of somebody else. You talking about the Joker?
Yeah, Gorshin. No. That's Gorshin.
U.S. judge on Thursday rejected a last-ditch effort by two men to avoid being extradited to Japan to face charges they helped former Nissan Motor Company chairman Carlos Ghosn flee the country in the suitcase.
They'll escape before they get there.
The ruling by U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani in Boston cleared the way for U.S. Army Special Forces veteran Michael Taylor and his son Peter Taylor to be handed over to Japan after the U.S. State Department approved their extradition. Lawyers for the Taylors quickly moved to appeal. The Taylors were arrested in May at Japan's request. The judge put their extradition on hold on October the 29th so she could hear the challenge to the State Department's decision.
Interesting.
They'll escape. They'll get another luggage compartment somewhere.
Yeah, but I would like to think that
disappear.
they got paid enough that with their special forces and stuff that they could disappeared already.
Well, apparently
they
didn't
charge enough.
No, they didn't. And I guess they thought that they'd never get caught. Well,
they could go join Epstein over on his island or something.
Epstein's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
He's living on his private island that nobody can see.
Yeah, they just think he's dead. He's not really.
Okay.
What?
And Ghislaine, you haven't heard anything about Ghislaine Maxwell, who was his partner.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine?
Yeah, it's called Ghislaine.
Anyway.
You haven't heard anything about her because there's too many people.
Actually, I did read something about her.
Not too long, a couple of days
ago, that apparently she's trying to get out of jail and said she didn't have nothing to do with it and she didn't know anything about it.
She's looking for a suitcase.
She's looking for it. Yeah.
She's on Amazon looking for suitcases.
God, help us all. All right. We are going to wrap up today's show after a very quick break, and here it goes.
Oh, my gosh.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy, weather permitting.
Well, guess what? That's it for this episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like. Tell your friends about us and share our junk with everybody. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features, which are always fun, along with all things automotive all week long. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Pandora, Amazon, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video technical director, sales and marketing man is Jeffrey Zekin. This week's In Wheel Time Car Show is produced and directed by Question Mark and the Mysterians. For booking agent and podcast man, Mike Out of This World Mars and his royalty, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now. And we hope that you'll join us on the next live In Wheel Time Car Show next Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Don't forget to wear your mittens. I'm sorry I didn't have your microphone on. Thanks for being part of the In Wheel Time family. Mask up and stay healthy, and so long for now, everybody.